welcome to Divisive Issues, the foul-mouthed, spoiler-filled comic book podcast where two fans and two non-comic fans talk about controversial and noteworthy comic books and comic book history. I'm Ryan.
I'm Sly.
I'm Phil.
And I'm Darryl.
And Ryan is trying to keep us as non-comic fans by making us read
Infinite Crisis.
That's what I kind
We're
of...
giving the full comic experience. I said when we started like a long time ago, I hate tie-ins, and Ryan said everything around tie-in is usually better than tie-in itself, and now you get the experience where everything around tie-in is better than the actual event
Also,
itself.
reading through this, I was like getting flashbacks. Like, you must have talked about this around me a lot. Because when it's like Earth Prime, Earth 1, Earth 2, Earth X, I'm like, I've heard this bullshit before. I just don't remember when.
Like when I read this for the second time, that's when like senior year of college.
Okay.
So me and Ryan are arguing about this a lot, and we'll get
Okay.
into our arguments as we get into this episode.
Yeah, so we will be covering Infinite Crisis 1 through 7 and the Infinite Crisis Secret Files and Origins 2006 issue. Primarily, the main series is written by Geoff Johns with art by Phil Jimenez, George Perez, Jerry Ordway, Ivan Reyes, and Andy Lanning. And what is there to say about Infinite Crisis?
This is going to be a divisive episode for sure, because I know Ryan loves it. I think Sly hates it. I think Darryl is going to hate it, and I actually kind of like it a little bit.
Okay,
to hate it? I hate it.
Yeah, Darryl already said like this is the worst thing we've ever read, I think.
So one thing that I do just want to say right on top is rereading it, I actually was not as enamored as I used to be.
Ultimate Syndrome.
Which was very interesting. But the main thing that I want to contextualize with, this is like the first big event written by Geoff Johns, who became like the architect of DC. And I know, don't at me, Day of Vengeance came out earlier, but whatever, who cares? But Day of Judgment, whatever, it doesn't matter. But this was a sequel. Yeah.
How dare you?
This is a sequel to the 1986 Crisis on Infinite Earths. And so this is the only time that the name sounds the same as on purpose, because it's a sequel.
Mm-hmm. It's actually a sequel to Infinite Crisis Infinite Earths. Like other ones are just choosing that title for.
Yes, this is actually a direct sequel.
Wait, did we read a President of Earths?
We never read it. It's every issue is like 12 issues, double size. And you guys will just hate it.
It's like this because I tried to read it in college because Ryan had it. I'm like, this seems important because this merges all the DC worlds into like one universe, and I couldn't get through the beginning because it's a bunch of like people in a jungle talking. I'm like, I know no one. This is boring.
Oh wait, so when they talk about
and there's too much talking, and I want the pictures, I want depth to show up. Fuck this.
I like Crisis on Infinite Earths, but it is truly like reading a comic book.
It is for people like me. I fucking love that book. But,
yes.
Wait,
it is doing homework.
So when they talk in this story about the merging of the worlds, that they're referencing Crisis on Infinite Earths?
Yes.
Yeah. So before like when DC started out, there was a golden age and there was a silver age, and basically until Crisis on Infinite Earths, like. There's like all these different because like Golden Age Superman was different from Silver Age Superman, and so he had all these different worlds to explain why things were different. So some stories will happen on Earth 2, some stories will happen on Earth 1 to try to keep them all in continuity while not like contradicting each other.
Mm-hmm. And it's actually not comics' fault; it's actually conservative America's fault, because the Golden Age of comics ended when the government was like, "You can't be good anymore. You have to just have like stupid aliens." So they're like, "Okay, this is a different universe then."
Yeah. So. Yeah, and so what happened was Crisis on Infinite Earths was like, we're going to reboot the DC universe. And not everything got fully rebooted, but some characters did essentially get fully rebooted, like Superman and Wonder Woman. And basically, they're like, when we reboot it, let's simplify it, because we want to make it for new readers, basically. Let's have one big, like, massive comics, book learning, history shit. And then now it would just be just for new readers. Like, and that's where you get a lot of, like, Batman Year One. Which is the basis for Batman Begins. That's where Alfred becomes the guy who raises Bruce Wayne. So
and that's the post-crisis Batman.
So that actually, all this backstory makes me like this comic less, because I thought they introduced these other Earths like in this, and I'm like, that's interesting. Like how they're like this different possibilities. This the way this world could have developed, but instead
it's the opposite.
Okay,
Geoff Johns was a fan of the old universe, and he wanted to bring it back, and that's the whole point of the story arc. He wanted to bring back the multiverse.
And there were some exceptions that made it very messy, but for the most part, the DC universe from 1986 to this was pretty cohesive and like pretty, I think, easy to digest. Where like the Golden Age stuff, it was just like the metal hat Flash guy, and they were just around during World War II, and then they retired, and then like Barry Allen and Hal Jordan came out, like that kind of, you know, like it was one cohesive universe, and then they were like, let's bring back the multiverse. I don't know why, but then
I don't know why
Infinite
either.
Crisis
It's
happened.
the way they had it was good. They fucked it
The
up.
way they had it was really good. So one of the things that I just want to say for my personal like experience with this book is I actually read Infinite Crisis way after I was like kind of ingrained in the DC universe, because I was reading lots of different franchises piece by piece, and I didn't really read like events. So a lot of the things that I thought happened in this book actually happened in other places. When I was reading it, I was like, can't wait for this to happen, and then it ended. I'm like, oh, that's not in this book, is it?
Yes.
I also
so,
can't. I can't
Go
believe
ahead.
I can't believe how much Countdown and the Omega Project don't actually really come up in this.
Yes,
I was like,
which is what I actually like that about DC events. I like how you don't know exactly what's gonna happen in main event itself. It could be completely different. I like not having 1 year dedicated to one specific plot. I like having multiple plots, like building towards one thing. I kind of like that.
And it
setup.
also means I don't have to buy like 20 different
Yes.
titles and track down a checklist and all this stuff, where I could just like have picked up Infinite Crisis 1 and been like, okay, there's lots of these weird robots here, but like that's pretty much all. Like it is relatively more self-contained.
Yeah,
than-
my beef with the story, my beef with the story is that it could have done that way better. But the biggest problem is, I'll just say this up front because I'm just gonna summarize the entire subplot because there's nothing to do with the main plot, basically. In the story, magic is fucked up because the Spectre did some shit. The Spectre is basically like God's angel of vengeance on Earth. And throughout the story, he keeps fucking shit up, and he kills other random magic users and stuff like that. It has nothing to do with the main story,
Yes.
and just makes it confusing.
yeah,
for no
so
reason.
you're thinking self-contained. It starts with Wonder Woman snapping a guy's neck, who we have to have read the other thing for, and then it shows this giant space battle between like every thousands of characters.
That happens pretty quickly, but the main plot, like, yes, when you first start, you're like, what the hell's going on? But the main plot is pretty much like in this book, where you're following the characters in this book.
But I would contest that like 50% of Infinite Crisis is actually other stories, like kind of next to this entire thing,
Okay.
or
that's-
at least
I think
maybe
that's
for
fair.
like the first like 5 issues. Like there is
That's what
there
I'm
is a
saying.
main plot here, but it's always like it's in between every other page of like, hey, here's what's going on with these characters, here's what's going on with that, and like Sly summing up the Spectre. That is a good way for like the reader to digest it easier, to be like, there's just Spectre stuff going on in the background. But again, when you're reading it, he just keeps coming up, and I'm like, I got no goddamn clue what's happening.
And he keeps
here.
busting out of people's bodies and murdering people.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
like,
like,
what
Which
is that?
I was in favor of it because that was fucking cool, but but like it has nothing to do with the main story. Like
So
fucking
that's the main thing that I wanted to mention, why I contextualize it that way for me, because by the time I read Infinite Crisis, I knew a shit ton of these characters, and I was reading it as part of like I'm gonna read this event, and read all these tie-in lead-in books and everything. So I didn't realize how disjointed this actual book was until I was reading it on its own. I'm like, oh wow, this magic stuff really doesn't matter at all.
Yeah.
yes, and so
There's a whole bunch of
so-
stuff. Like
Yeah, there's a whole bunch
Whatever.
of stuff.
yeah, I do agree with Darryl, and then and if Darryl,
So do I.
If Ryan was so
maybe
we all
this
agree.
won't be as divisive as I think, because I also want to clarify, at least for my end, because I just told them I hated this book. I enjoyed probably Heroes in Crisis more, and that's probably like
Oh my god.
very awful.
Yeah, that-
I definitely
what I
disagree
would
with that.
say is this is not a worse book than that. This is not the worst book I've read, but it was not fun. And Heroes in Crisis was fun.
Okay, but this is the part of you that likes like the Game of Thrones TV show later on.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that makes more sense. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so
and the very,
but
very
I
last
just want
thing-
to clarify.
Okay, go ahead.
Synopsis, because we haven't even get what the story's about.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So this story is a story about Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman, and
A lot
the
of
part why-
Supermans.
Yeah. So the story is when Crisis on Infinite Earths happened. Basically, all the Earths were being blown up by this creature called the Monitor, and at the end, they had a decision point: which Earth do we save? And they ended up saving the Earth that we know, the one that Definition of Superman happened in, the one where Batman Year One happened in.
Yeah.
And they let Earth 2 die. And so this story is, look what happened since then. Look at what happened since with Green Lantern, Trinity Evil, with Wonder Woman snapping Max Lord's neck.
Bane
all
breaking
this.
Batman.
Yeah.
It's a meta commentary on how dark comics.
The question of the story is, the Earth 2 characters are now like, did we save the wrong universe?
With that synopsis up front, that is kind of why I liked it, even though I kind of agree with Darryl that this is not an enjoyable read. I did not enjoy reading it, but when it was done, I was like, I liked the meta commentary where they're like, comics have gotten so dark, and they're kind of talking about it in this like in-universe way, where they show scenes of like Superman getting killed by Doomsday and all these other dark things happening, and I assumed it was the writers being like, comics have gotten so dark, like this world that we saved was like shitty.
Yeah.
And that's kind of interesting.
And that's why the thing, like, for me is I'm not saying I don't like this book, because as someone with all the history and reading all the times and everything, I look back still after reading this very, very fondly at this era of DC. And
I also like this book. Spoilers, I also like this book.
Yeah, and what this book, like, what plots converged into it and what plots converged out of it, I still really, really like it. But reading it as a standalone event, I was very shocked at how, like, tougher it was to get through than I remember.
And for me, I like that theme a whole lot too. It's just that I got that in Flex Mentallo, and it was fun to read. Whereas here, I'm reading this, and it's like I can't follow all these things. I just have to be like, okay, whatever happens. And plus, the logistics of this universe just don't make sense. It has to get to a lot of points where it's just like things are happening. This is crazy.
That's actually such a fascinating comment, Darryl, because so many people talk about the Geoff Johns view of comics as like a watered down or like subverted version, not intentionally subverted, of Morrison's politics, where it's
like a mainstream view.
Yeah, Hollywood version of it.
Yeah,
basically.
but that's it's so fascinating to me that you came to that conclusion, because that is such a common like complaint on Geoff Johns, and I love Geoff Johns, but like I've heard that from diehard, like buy every single issue of every book kind of people, that he is the popcorn version of Grant Morrison.
Definitely. And especially because it's
like so cool to see you guys come to that conclusion.
Like immediately.
It's definitely true, because like Flex Mentallo did this, it tackled the same ideas, but this is like that, but all fighting all the time. Like they never stop punching each other, with every character in every universe just punching each other.
Yes.
And not just punching. Yeah. I wish it was more punching. It's mostly them shooting beams. They're mostly just shooting beams.
And Flex Mentallo was a whole decade.
It's very much the Marvel syndrome, where everyone's just flying at each other and action happens. You don't even know who wins what fight.
They have a lot of big space scenes in this whole story too.
I'm sorry. I'm just like it's not even like Marvel syndrome, because it's a lot of it is just looks and feels like nonsense. It's just chaos.
Yeah,
which
like
fits,
it's worse
fits
than Marvel.
narratively, but it's like it's too much chaos.
Yeah, I agree. Where you have characters, like 1,000 characters, all flying to the center of the universe, and like, and it makes me think like, so they're all flying, they're all shooting beams, and apparently like everyone is the same speed and the same strength at this point, because they have to, for the plot reasons, because they have so many people on panel. I'm like, this can't be these guys can't all be the same speed and same strength. Like, how can Superman get to the
center? That is Marvel syndrome, because Marvel syndrome is where everyone in the war scene, like, they get
Captain America's as strong as the Hulk, or for some reason,
exactly.
or whatever, and like that, like for me, the person, like, I always want the logic of the universe to be consistent, and I'm like, everyone just becomes the same, like either green beam or yellow beam.
Yeah. For me, it's not even just the logical universe. I think it's more interesting storytelling when you make the individuals matter.
Absolutely. Where it's like the people, the on the street heroes, have to do on the street stuff, rather than like, hey, Nightwing, let's go fight like Superman.
Yeah, Nightwing is a major part of the story. Spoilers. Batman's psychic Nightwing, who is just a guy who can throw batons,
and he's in the fight. Everyone's like, we're gonna murder him because he can't fight.
Well, there's a editorial reason why that's the case,
but it's dumb.
We'll get to that. Yeah, it's not good. But so I think now we've danced around it long enough. Let's start with Infinite Crisis #1.
Strap in.
So the story opens
with "Why Are We Here," which is a very good narration.
They've forgotten, haven't they? That's what narration says. And so it opens with Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. They're in the Justice League Watchtower has been destroyed off panel.
It actually happened in the Justice League book.
Okay, so it happened off comic.
Yeah, it's not from this. Yeah.
Okay, and so they're Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman are investigating him. And apparently the world's going to hell, according to Wonder Woman. And basically there's chaos in the streets, and everyone's afraid. And Superman's
the
like,
skies are like permanently red throughout this, and there's a whole bunch of like gangs just fighting. Like,
they're killing the cops constantly.
Yeah, and Nightwing City, like there's just gangs rioting or something.
Oh, that's blood hate.
The Riddler literally says like, what stinks while living, but death smells good, and he's like, pigs, as they kill cops, and I'm like, wow, this is fucking
this is a very edgy book.
Happening, and not only because what's happening in the red sky is also like there's thousands of Omacs just destroying the world, I guess. And when he says the world's going to hell, it's not like Earth, it's like the universe is being like just ripped apart constantly, like throughout the whole 8 issues. There's just like tears in the fabric of space time.
It makes more sense later on than here, where it starts, and it's just like there's a lot of chaos happening.
Yes. All right. So, and what Superman says, it's your fault. Everyone's scared of us because of you. You fucking.
Because Wonder
rich.
Woman killed Max Lord on
Yeah.
TV.
Yes. So he
Which
sees
to me is one of the
that.
like I don't know if it's because I stand Wonder Woman for some reason or not, but I'm like, this isn't that big of a deal. She killed someone that was mind controlling Superman.
But the general populace didn't know that. They
but
see her
then you
snap the
explain,
neck
you're
of
like,
someone
oh hey,
tied
this
up.
guy can mind control Superman to murder everyone.
Also, but by modern standards, it seems like not a big deal because now we're used to Wonder Woman being a killer, like not like murderer, but
like Batman.
like we're used to especially in popular culture. But like in 2006, those still superheroes don't kill kind of mentality.
So Darryl, you're saying that Wonder Woman should have just made her case in the marketplace of ideas, and the general populace would have obviously listened to the moral leader.
Yeah.
No,
And
I would say
that's
people. I don't feel that people would be like, she's an awful person if they learned that she was a villain.
She's an influential person. They would have listened to her.
I also think because the idea is that because Wonder Woman is like the symbol of like she's like a heroic symbol, so no people don't view her as a killer.
I
They
thought
never
that was
view her as that.
Wally West.
But like in the
Symbol
movies,
of hope.
like, you have to think. Don't think about it as the Gal Gadot and Wonder Woman doing this. Think about it as Linda. What's her name?
Linda Carter.
Linda Carter doing this. Like it's more like, or like Christopher Reeves doing this. If it was Superman, like it's a more like Silver Age kind of mentality. Where
Yeah, I can't imagine a movie where Superman snaps someone.
But how much controversy was because of that? Like because of
Yeah,
neck snap.
yeah,
You
absolutely.
See? Exactly. All right, so this is my problems with the early issues of the story. It cuts to Superboy. He's watching TV, seeing all the skies turn red with blood, and all his friends, the Teen Titans, fighting Omax and random shit. And Mom and Pa Kent are with Superboy. So this is the same Superboy from Death Sure Superman.
Yeah.
And-
Wait,
okay.
which one?
The one
with the
young
earring?
The clone.
Metropolis
the clone.
Kid.
Yeah, Metropolis Kid. The clone one.
The one with the
that-
earring and the jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
so he basically, like, he's a lot more mature now, but...
Okay, he's no longer a Superboy. That's
Well,
that's
that's
a small
something
thing that got to me. This is a man. Like throughout
Yeah,
this,
that
this could be
pissed me off with our later
The drawings
character.
make him look like a man.
No, not just
But he's-
that. When another character comes up, I want to bring up. I'm like, why are you Superboy if you're the only fucking superhero?
So here's my problem. So his reason why he's so hesitant to jump in is this is not set in the story at all.
Yeah, it's not said in the story.
He's recently found out that he's Lex Luthor's clone too. When they clones, when they clones, I think it's an interesting concept. When they cloned Superman, they couldn't have enough Superman DNA to fully replicate Superman. So Lex Luthor imparted some of his own DNA into Superboy. So now
Okay.
he's
Can I tell a story though?
Yes, go ahead.
about it. So when Superboy came out in the '90s during Death and Return of Superman, a young boy wrote a letter saying, "Hey, you should make him a clone of Lex Luthor." And DC wrote back and said, "No, that's stupid." And then that boy, 10 years later, was given the job of writing Teen Titans, and that boy's name is Geoff Johns, and he said, "No, that's canon now. Fuck you."
That's amazing. I thought it was just DC taking his idea and being like, screw
No.
you. But instead it's like, I run the company now.
Yeah. And so what happened was right before this story, Lex Luthor possessed Superboy's body, like using some DNA clone, whatever,
Yeah, of
and had him
course.
beat the shit out of his whole team because he's Superboy.
Yeah.
And he like broke Wonder Girl's arm and like all this stuff. So he's like, I can't be trusted. I'm a monster. I'm just gonna sit in a tent.
That'd be
in
nice
a
if they
house."
mentioned it because I was like,
Yes.
he's just like, I'm crying while the world's
I
getting
thought
destroyed.
this was like a completely new character, unrelated to everyone else, and he was just like, maybe he's another Superman from time that got like sent here.
Yeah.
He's sad that his parents and home planet's blown up, so he's like, I don't want to be a hero for a
Also,
planet I don't
not
know.
mentioning that is so stupid because later they keep
Yes.
talking about a Superman and a Luthor can never get along, and it's like it would be interesting in my mind if I could have thought about the fact that one of them exists
Yeah.
as a single entity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it also should it should really be mentioned here because Superboy not making a difference here, like Superboy staying home, is a huge catalyst for this plot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a problem with Geoff Johns in general. Has a problem with Flashpoint too. And I remember I said the
He wrote
Flashpoint movie was
Flashpoint?
better. Yeah.
Okay.
I remember I said the movie was better. The animated movie was better than the comic. And Ryan disagrees, saying, "Oh, the movie's more gory and stuff like that." I'm like, sure. It's more competent though because it sets up the players beforehand, which Geoff Johns has
yeah,
trouble
that's
doing. Like this comic does not set up the players well enough beforehand. Superboy should establish all that because he's a major player in the story.
There's a part of me that's like, maybe this is kind of loyal to Crisis on Infinite Earths, because didn't
That's
that
very
not give a
fair.
shit about?
That's
Yeah.
But the problem is, like, Crisis on Infinite Earths, the main characters now are, like, this new character called the Monitor, another character called the Harbinger, Alex Luthor, all these new characters. Well, this is about... Batman didn't matter at all in Crisis on Infinite Earths. Like, this is very much the three main most important DC characters in mainstream universe are the three most important characters
Yeah.
in the story. Like, Crisis Infinite Earths didn't care about anything except it was just going full like we don't care. But this is trying to go halfway, and it's not meeting you halfway.
We're never gonna get through this.
So we get huge exposition scenes that really don't matter of just like magic is broken and like whatever.
Or it's just like Donna Troy talking with Starfire and Supergirl and Nightwing on a roof, and they're just talking
and the
to one
OMACs
another.
are like new program Truth and Justice, which after all of this, I'm like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so they show also show cuts from the Thanagar whatever war. I forgot what they're
The
fighting.
Ram Thanagar War, which
Yes.
is
No, is that what
really
this is?
not
I don't
good.
think. I thought this was like a black, like a not even a black hole, like a rift in the universe opening up and just eating up galaxies. Like
I think it crossed over the Thanagar war. I think I think that whole shit doesn't like. I think this whole Geoff Johns' whole thought process should have been like, if it's not contributing to the main theme and main point, it should have been cut because it should have been focused on Batman.
there are a lot of shots of this space stuff, and it's always like fleets of complete. They look like they're mishmash fleets from like every alien race in existence. And they're all different colors and shapes and everything. And you have around them a million flying people of different colors, and then you always have like something is just eating the universe, and they're all like trying to fight this thing. This storm, I don't know.
One of the problems too is the way it's paced. Is it's not like a whole scene of this; it's a page of this, then something else.
Constantly throughout.
Yeah, it's a
all
page
the
of that.
issues.
Then you go to Gotham, and you're like, all right, the Riddler's teaming up with this guy that can't say any vowels.
His name is Murmur. He sewed his lips shut.
So finally, let's get to actual plot.
There are so many characters in this that I'm like, this is why comics are deserved to. Like,
we should do a Patreon episode just on this goddamn Uncle Sam.
I actually liked him.
Oh
Yeah,
my
so,
god!
So it's funny you mention that you like him because he's the only survivor of this next few pages.
What happens is, the Uncle Sam and his the Freedom Fighters or whatever.
Uncle Sam is like Uncle Sam. He's with his own team. I forget the name, but
doesn't
they're all, like,
matter.
Older. It doesn't matter. But so it doesn't matter. But he's focused a lot of pages on them. So you go.
Yeah, the rest of this comic's just about them.
Uncle Sam apparently bested Paul Bunyan in arm wrestling and outplanted Johnny Appleseed.
So Uncle Sam and his team. I forget why they go to the warehouse and fucking matter.
They're looking for something.
Yeah, and they find all the supervillains there basically, and all the supervillains just fucking kill them.
It's actually like so brutal. They're like, "Hey, this team, nice to meet them," and then it's for some reason you're like, I guess Sinestro and Bizarro, and I guess this other Flash who's yellow is Reverse Flash, maybe Mr. Zoom or something.
Professor Zoom.
Professor Zoom.
That's just Zoom, guys.
Not Professor Zoom.
No, Professor Zoom's been dead for like 20 years, but whatever.
They're two different guys.
So the Legion of Doom shows up and kills everybody. That's the.
Are these guys normally a team? Are they normally a team together?
Yes, they're from another company that DC acquired, and they usually show up as a team together. And it pissed me off
Not the
because
Legion of Doom, the Uncle Sam and the.
Uncle Sam.
Oh
team,
no,
yeah.
okay. But these villains, do they ever work together before this?
Yeah.
No, that's why. Well, they do, but like this is a big twist that they're working together now because it's a conspiracy. I forget what they're called, Legion of Doom. What are they called?
Legion of Doom, or the Injustice Gang, or whatever the fuck title they had this time.
Yeah. So what happens? So they get murdered. This whole thing should have happened off page because. All it is just edgy, like, oh, all these heroes die. Does it make you feel bad? Like Mark Millar wrote
This was reminding me of like how you guys said your common complaint, which if this is our first episode, welcome to Divisive Issues. But it's about how you like just C-listers, you just show them so that they can get killed brutally, so you can be like, isn't this world edgy? Now, like in the beginning, I'm like, this is cool because this raises stakes. But now I've gotten to the point where I can recognize like when this team was going in, and then you have all these villains show up. I'm like, someone's getting shanked here. Someone's getting like legit killed. Yeah.
Everyone except Uncle Sam and the Ray, who's reported
And
for
damaged
arbitrary reasons, basically. So while this is happening, Mongol from Death of First Man, this dark side.
I don't know why the fuck he's here. He
just shows up. He fights Batman. You need a fight scene for Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. That's
At the Justice League, like the ruins of the Justice League, he just shows up and he's like, I'm gonna fight you all, and he loses because he can't. Was he supposed to be smart? Was I wrong?
He was fucking a warlord, like to conquer planets.
Oh, okay, all right. So he's not supposed to be that.
Yeah,
smart.
Warlord. You fight solo, 1v1 me. You know.
No, but he had conquered planets. Like he had to have.
Wouldn't he have like an army instead of whatever?
Yeah. So the only thing matters, the punch, the meme. The only thing that matters is the meme that happened when Batman afterwards. Batman is like, Superman, you should be down there on Earth, not here fucking doing this investigation shit. You're supposed to be inspiring people. Let's face it. The last time you inspired people was when you were dead. And Superman's like, oh shit.
I like that.
But then we do get a panel of Uncle Sam drowning in a puddle of oil, which I'm like, oh, this is 2006. Got it.
Also, Wonder Woman goes to kill Mongol, and Superman stops her, and they're like, "What are you doing? How could you dare kill this warlord who conquers planets?" And Batman's like, because she's like, "There's no other choice sometimes," and he's like, "That's the kind of thinking that leads to mind wipes." And I'm like, "Fuck you, Batman."
All right, so story ends. It's just the whole thing's being observed by the surviving Earth 2 characters, and so Earth 2 Superman says this was like a job for Superman. He breaks through the
Reality bubble.
reality
Also,
glass.
again, I thought this was cool because I'm like, "Oh, these guys are being introduced for the first time."
But Phil, to be fair, that means the story was doing his job. If you didn't think, oh, this has to be history, and you thought it was a cool concept.
That's true.
And also,
Yeah,
I read this before Crisis on Infinite Earths, and Crisis on Infinite Earths did come out 20 years earlier. So, like,
For most people, this was the
Okay,
introduction.
all right.
Yeah, and so just to quickly sum up the characters, there's Earth 2 Superman, who was the Golden Age Superman. This is Lois Lane, his wife.
Earth 2 Superman's the old Superman, if you ever hear us refer to him. He's got, like, graying hair.
Old Superman, yeah.
And he's also,
Yeah.
like, he's real lovey-dovey with his wife, Lois Lane, old Lois Lane.
Yeah, and so there's Alex Luthor. Alex Luthor was the son of Lex Luthor on an Earth where all the superheroes were evil, and Lex Luthor was the only good guy. So Alex Luthor was, I forget what he did in the first Crisis, but he was like the key to saving
It's
everyone.
weird because he's the son of he's the son of Lex Luthor, but it would be if Lex Luthor was Superman instead, because they were Kryptonians, and then they sent Lex Luthor away in a little rocket ship to,
Really?
I think, Earth. That's what it showed in the flashback, right?
I forget.
Because
it
it
was
did,
just a
because
guy.
his dad had a big L on his shirt.
Yeah, a
for
lot of Crisis on
Luthor.
the Earth was building up to Alex's like birth. I forget because
He
he
does
yeah,
have like
yeah,
he
yeah.
does have powers. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
he's not a
Yeah.
regular guy.
Yeah,
Whatever.
exactly. Yeah.
And the final guy is Superboy Prime. So Superboy Prime came from a universe,
So Earth Prime was our universe.
our universe, and Superboy Prime was a comic book fanboy. And so like when he first met Superman, he's like, "Wow, it's Superman!" And Superman, when Crisis on Earth, Supergirl died. And Superboy Prime met him right after that, and Superman's like, "Oh yeah, my cousin died." Superboy Prime was like, "Wow, not an imaginary story, not reality. Supergirl really died." And Superman's like, "What are you talking about?" "Oh, sorry, you don't know about that stuff." Yeah, and so he's a comic nerd basically who became like a superhero.
Oh, I remember you talking about him in college, and I didn't realize this was the same guy.
That sounds. I know none of that.
All right, so that's why he's called Superboy, because he did meet Superman before this. Okay.
Yes.
Because I was like, if you're the only superhero, why would you choose to call yourself Superboy as an adult?
Yeah, during Crisis on Infinite Earths, they went to Earth Prime, and like he was the only survivor.
Okay.
Yes. Also, fun fact: Grant Morrison's Superman in All Star Superman is technically Superman Prime.
Oh yeah, I guess.
That's only for Ryan and people who read
Superman or Superboy Prime?
so Superman Prime in Grant Morrison's, but if you know All Star Superman is very optimistic and very positive view of Superman, so it's funny thinking that's technically the Superboy growing up.
All right, issue 2. I'm gonna try and figure out how to even go through this because there's just jumping from place to
It
place.
opens with Animal Man, and this is one of the only parts I really like about this, is because he just seems like a cool dad. And there's just not enough. There's not enough married family men that are superheroes where their
He was
wives
like
no.
the first big one.
Yeah,
It's just cool to see that.
and thanks to Grant Morrison, by the way. Grant Morrison.
Yes.
Really?
Then we
God damn, do I like that guy?
Then immediately we jump to like a Bayonetta level where there's like these faces and angels everywhere, and everyone's flying through it or something.
Oh yeah, we have to quickly sum up. So Power Girl's part of this fight, and to briefly sum up Power Girl. Originally, she was Supergirl from Earth 2.
Yeah. So she was one of the first, she was an early feminist character in the 70s, but because it's comics, they, as a joke, kept making her boobs bigger and bigger and bigger because we can't have nice things. So she was the Earth 2 Supergirl, and she was popular, so she survived Crisis on Infinite Earths, but she was one of those weird things I talked about that didn't make sense, because you can't have her be Earth 2 Supergirl when
Supergirl is on Earth
2
1.
doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So they also didn't want, Supergirl was gone for 20 years or whatever. She was the raisin person, remember?
Yep.
But
My favorite.
They basically just kept kind of giving her random origins. Where she's from Atlantis, or she's from a wizard, or just to kind of
By the way, that's a very common thing with a lot of the post-crisis characters. Like Hawk Man has the same fucking
Hawkman's
shit.
a whole thing.
Yeah.
Hawk Man.
I was gonna say Hawk Guy. I'm like, that's not right.
Hawk Girl.
Yeah, so Power Girl had been kind of she'd been more of a team book character where they just wouldn't talk about her origin very often. So because of that, she kind of had throughout the 90s a lot of identity issues.
Identity crisis, you might say.
Yes, she did.
Crisis on Infinite Identities.
She's flying around. She's flying around with like all these other characters. I don't know.
It's a whole bunch of. This is just like a villain
Just say
parade.
battle scene. Superheroes versus supervillains. Just say everyone shows up. Just say superheroes are fighting supervillains. That's it. Because that's what matters.
Yep. And I'm just trying to see if this narration matters. Like, it's just
no narration, Phil. We have so much fucking shit to cover.
Okay.
I love that we're trying to review it like as a book. It's like, let's just run through the plot as fast as we can.
So old Superman shows up.
The big battle is interrupted and saved by old Superman, who says to Power Girl, "It's been a long time, cousin, too long."
And so we cut back to the Daily Planet, and Lois Lane from Earth 1 is like...
She goes to meet Clark Kent from our world, and she sees... From Earth 1.
Earth 1.
The main Superman. She goes to see main Clark Kent, the one that's from DC already at this point. So she goes to see main Clark Kent. And
no, we should call them different names like they do in the book. There's Kal-El with an L, and then Kal-El-E-L. 2 different characters. Easy.
Yeah, so the main Superman is looking at a picture of him being dead after the film Superman. And he's contemplating, and he's right. He's thinking Batman is right. Last time I was inspiring was when I died.
Okay, hold on. This next scene has Deathstroke hanging out next to some little man with who is this
Dr.
guy
Psycho.
with the
Dr. Psycho. We talked about him last time.
Yeah,
Psycho.
Wonder Woman's villain. He controls
okay.
minds. I like that
Alright.
he's sweating in that one frame where he has some really bad pustules like growing on his face.
So the main thing that we learn here is we see the secret society of supervillains run by Lex Luthor, but then it cuts to another Lex Luthor
in the middle of like Antarctica in his suit, being like, "Why am I here? Why can't I think?"
his big purple green like mech suit,
Yeah.
not like
the,
a suit.
the Superman Buster suit.
And as he's stuck there, being like, "Why am I stuck here? Why am I thinking this stuff? Why can't I think?" He sees old Superman and Power Girl fly by
To the Fortress of Solitude, basically.
to the Fortress of Solitude, where we find Alex Luthor and Superboy Prime, and he starts expositing.
He explains what we just said, like she was from another universe, all that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that Alex Luthor is the one that makes the reality bubbles that they had like lived in to be safe from when all the worlds merged together.
So I actually thought this part was interesting when I was reading it, because I'm like, I was again thinking the meta commentary stuff where I'm like, he's talking about how there's different timelines, and this one they thought would be the perfect Earth, but it got really dark, and they showed all these pictures of like dark, like Batman getting his back broken, Robin dying, Superman dying, Parallax and everything.
Guy
And I was
Gardner
like,
existing.
yeah.
Oh my god, that's so true.
And was this Identity Crisis here?
They reference a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah.
And one thing I want to point out is these pages are done by George Perez, who drew Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. That's why it's a different style. And so they're like, different realities.
Wait,
and they're like,
real quick, just what is this one of Wonder Woman fighting that lady? How is that supposed to be so
So
bad?
what happened was one of Wonder Woman's like sisters in arms, Artemis.
Yeah.
Basically, Woman's mom was like, "You can't be one anymore. You suck. You fuck off." And basically, the reason why his mom did that was because it was prophesied that Wonder Woman would die. So basically, she set up Wonder Woman's friend Artemis to die instead. So that's what
it's actually crazy. When I was reading this, besides that panel and the Superboy one, I was like, I know all these scenes. Like,
Yep,
I was
exactly.
like,
Yeah.
This is not good. But
That's what this comics. Our podcast is going to be a farce soon because we're going to be super comic nerds too.
But the funny thing is, like, you still hate it more the more you read.
Yeah, you're still not fans. In fact, you're less fans than you were at the beginning.
Like, when we bring up history,
definitely not true. Because when you guys talked about
Yeah.
this comic originally, I was like, this is the stupidest thing ever. I never want to read comics, and I kind of enjoed this.
Yeah, like I got to the
yes.
point where it's like my eyes are just glazing over everything I used to hate, like Uncle Sam showing up. I'm like, sure, like okay.
So they are basically Power Girl's like, so is this heaven that you have been your little solace bit dying or like breaking, and then old Superman's like, no, she's dying, and it's old Lois Lane dying here.
Yes.
And then
forgive me, I'm just gonna sum up Booster Gold's subplot real quick. That's nothing to do with the main
Booster
plot.
shows up.
Booster shows up from the future. He has records of the future now. He basically went back. He went to the future, got cliff notes for the past. He went
why
back
is
to-
it illegal in the future to read history?
Because they don't want to change the past, probably because they have time travel. And so Booster's now back in the past, and his whole subplot, just to sum it up, he goes to meet the new Blue Beetle. Basically, new Blue Beetle gets the Blue Beetle scout, and he becomes the new Blue Beetle. Nothing to do with the main plot. That's it.
Wait, you're missing out a really important part. Joker murdering villains.
So Joker kills
so-
the based on
King?
playing
Who's
cards.
this guy?
Playing cards.
This
Royal
actually
Flush
is
Gang.
really important because it comes into play later where everybody, all the supervillains in the whole universe were invited to be on this fun supervillain team except the Joker because he's such an asshole and he's like, that's not funny.
What's
I wanna
crazy?
play."
What's crazy is they invite like Bizarro Superman. They invite like people who have no business working with any other living thing. But they're like the Joker. He's too far.
But I like this joke because they have the Royal Flush Gang King, who they're all just like playing cards, and the Royal Flush Gang King was like bleeding, dying, and he says, "See, everyone knows Joker's too wild." And he starts laughing, and then Joker kills him and says, "That's not
yeah,
funny."
Joker's too wild. That's funny.
So terrible. To just back
I like
up-
that line. Fuck you, Darryl.
No, okay, it's like a good joke. It's just like so dumb within this comic because Joker doesn't appear until the end of this comic.
Yeah, this should have had a tie-in. This whole fucking.
Just back
Yeah.
out a little bit. I want to say that when we did Project OMAC, I really enjoyed both Blue Beetle and Booster Gold, and it was the most I ever liked Booster Gold. When this Booster Gold came back, and yes, Skeets again, and they're just like quipping, I reverted back to being like, this is a dumb character. Like, I don't care anything, especially because he's just like, let me help you out, Blue Beetle, like, new guy, and I'll be like your friend. And there was nothing of him just like, there was none of that sadness that I attached myself to when he first showed up in OMAC.
The main reason why Booster comes back is because he says later that Batman will, in the future, get this team together, and Booster saw that in the future they lose, so he comes back to kind of reset up the board so that
I hate
Batman
that
wins
feeling
this time.
too, because I like Booster being a guy that he doesn't know anything about the past, and he's like haunted by the fact they can't change anything. And here he comes back and he's just like, yeah, I know what to do, what to change. I'm like,
I agree.
He
I didn't
doesn't
care
know
about.
what to change though. He's trying something.
Yeah, I think it's spending too much time on something doesn't matter. Save your thoughts on Booster for when we get to 52 because that's more of an impact there.
Sure.
I think.
Okay, yeah.
So we go back to the Fortress of Solitude. Kara or Power Girl touches old Lois Lane and gets all her memories back. She didn't realize she was from Earth 2 this whole time. And
Yes.
then Batman is whatever. Batman talks to Brother Eye, comes back, our favorite sentient AI, who is like...
I'm gonna fucking blow up Themyscira, Wonder Woman's home, because Wonder Woman's a bitch. I'm gonna kill her.
He says Wonder Woman killed him, and obviously they're all too powerful, so I'm going to send all the Omax to go blow
Yeah,
up.
he's like, Amazons shouldn't exist on Earth.
Yeah, so yeah, she wanted to revenge Max Lord stuff.
Yeah, and so...
that's all that happens with the Wonder Woman. She just fights like a bunch of OMACs for
Yeah.
like forever.
But Batman's like, please don't do this. And
To Brother Eye.
yeah,
Yeah.
And
so
Brother
bro-
Eye's like, nah.
fuck
And
yeah.
fuck
then
you.
back in the Fortress of Solitude, old Superman is like, old Lois is dying, but it's this Earth that she's on. Like, this Earth is bad, and it's making her
It
die.
corrupts everything.
Yeah, and so what we need to do is bring her back to
The right Earth.
The right Earth.
Yeah.
That's where I was like, okay, I'm gonna like this is a kind of interesting, convincing narrative where you're like, hey, the edgelord taint corrupts everything. It's like you need to
Mark Millar's sex tape.
Yeah. You need to get out of this universe. You need to go back to a universe where things weren't bad. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's kind of neat.
Again, all the meta stuff was my favorite part of this whole
Yeah,
thing. Where I was like,
that's
it's
why
really
I
cool.
really
like
like
she's literally dying from a lack of hope, and this Superman is like,
Please.
is trying to bring that back, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, so issue 3 opens with, again, more Spectre stuff, Aquaman, and all the people all fighting. Because it
God,
has
none
to
of
show
it
you, like,
matters at all.
what all the major characters are doing. So you're not like, well, where's Aquaman to help save the day?
Well, to make Phil happy because he always bitches about that. You have to show every character doing everything in every fucking
Yeah.
event. So the main thing about Themyscira is Themyscira gets magically away by the gods, but now Wonder Woman can never find it again.
Wait,
basically.
important when the Amazons are fighting the Omax,
They're
they're
this
being
giant alien, like...
they're being filmed by the Omax, and
Yeah.
that footage will be later be used.
They
against
bring
them.
out giant, like, it looks like alien weaponry with big purple laser rays.
No, they call it the greatest name. The Purple Death Ray has been
Okay, so
completed.
the reason why is because in the 40s when Wonder Woman, like in real life 40s, her she had this purple healing ray that Themyscira had. So now in our Earth that healing ray was turned edgy. It's a death
But
ray.
can I say this Death Ray is saving them from the Omax, and
Yeah.
the Omax Brother Eye starts broadcasting on TV. Look, the Amazons are using a Death Ray on the Omax, and they're like, we have to stop using the Death Ray. They're gonna think we're violent. It's
Yeah.
like you're literally being annihilated.
I agree. The whole Wonder Woman stuff, I think they drill too much. Like,
Yeah.
at a certain point, it just feels like
The world is ending. Who's watching the TV?
it's just like look at Wonder Woman. Ugh. Like no one would react that way to see Wonder Woman. defend
Also,
Aquaman.
if the sky is is on fire and there are Omax murdering everyone, and they see Amazons fighting Omax, they're not going to be like, those violent Amazons, I thought you were supposed to be peaceful.
Yeah, so it's fucking stupid.
Right.
So
now we get a scene I actually like a lot.
Me too.
Where Batman is like watching this and he's like, stop this, shut it down. And he smashes his computer.
To Brother
Omax
Eye.
says, program, truth and justice must be completed.
Yeah, and then Batman basically has a panic attack, and he's like, this wasn't supposed to happen, I can't breathe, I can't do this anymore. And he flashes back to his parents being killed, him at the grave, Jason Todd's death, and he's like, I just wish I could start over. And then you hear, Bruce, you can start over. And the old man Superman is like, yeah, I'm not the Superman you know, not yet. And he's like all smiley and happy. And like, that to me is like kind of like the touching scene that I wish this book had a lot more of.
Yes.
Yeah, because at the heart of this is an interesting idea of what would happen if the superheroes met with like their selves from like the 40s and stuff that are way more positive. And they're like, look, you can have a happier life. We can help bring it to you. It's just like, we got to get rid of this corrupt, terrible Earth that you're living in.
Yeah.
Also, Detective Chimp shows up. I recognize him. Happy to do that. happy to know that fact in my brain. Wait, I'm glad I'm using some of my brain for that. So,
Detective Chimp shows up because Superman finally comes down to Earth and starts being inspirational again, starts helping people after Batman calls him a shithead. So now he's being Superman now.
and we get some more fucking space that doesn't matter.
Oh, the main thing that happens here is a young Hispanic boy named Jaime Reyes.
Okay, I said this already.
Yeah,
Blue Beetle.
He becomes Blue Beetle.
Yeah, but you didn't say who he was or when it happens. So he finds the Scarab.
Okay, so he's the Blue Beetle. Can we not bring that up ever again, please?
I
I love Jaime Reyes. He's up to his blood. Like it's just cover.
No, he saves the day.
He does.
He does. I forgot.
So we have Wally West is looking over his kids and being like, I'm the fastest. This is kind of like the exact same thing with like the Lois thing, where the wife has to go over and she's like, do you really have to go save the world? He's like, I have to. I'm Superman. And then he's like, I have to.
I'm the luckiest man alive, but I have to be the fastest man out there.
Yeah.
Shut up.
So he runs around. And then you have Superman, old man Superman, talking about what happened to Batman in the other universe. So he's like, hey, you got married to Catwoman. You guys had a daughter called the Huntress.
And you were my friend. We were close. And
You became the police commissioner. You had a daughter.
But the greatest thing is he's like, everything's better in this world? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, what's his name better?
Robin?
Dick Grayson.
Is Dick Grayson better? And he's like, no.
He became a villain.
I was like, that's really interesting.
He doesn't become a villain. He's just as good as Earth 2 Dick Grayson.
Oh.
Oh, but he just stays Robin forever, I think.
Yeah, he just stays around forever. So he doesn't.
He doesn't get independent.
Yeah, the Grayson becomes his own hero in our universe. He becomes his own he becomes an inspiring leader that Batman never could. Basically, he's always been the Superman of the Teen Titans. And Batman could never be that.
Yeah, and it's really cool.
Okay.
I actually was like, this is really interesting. That I'm like, he's like, everything's better in this fantasy world where we live in the '40s comics, and when Batman's like, is everything really better? It's like, well, it can't. Maybe everything can't be better.
Or there's some things because so much stayed the same that for some people,
they have no growth.
They get better. Yeah, they grow.
Yeah.
Whereas like everyone else, like, Batman clearly got darker and a whole bunch of other people.
So then we get to Lex Luthor, jumping all this obscure stuff.
So now we find out that, the two Lex Luthors confront each other, and the secret, whoever this Luthor is in disguise, like totally punks our universe's Luthor.
Yeah, and blasts him. He's like, you can't even think. My brain waves have.
I love this.
My
This made
theta
me.
brain waves are much more advanced than yours. They operate on anti-frequency and they interfere with your super genius. I'm like,
I wanted to throw this comic, but I was on my computer screen, so I couldn't. But like, I that line, I was like, fuck you.
some of it makes sense later.
My theta brainwaves are much more advanced than yours. They operate on an anti-frequency.
This is so dumb because it never comes up again either. It's just fucking.
It's just like, oh, this guy's powerful.
It just have Lex Luthor be like Alex Luthor. Spoiler: it's Alex Luthor in disguise as our
You find out the next page.
Yeah, so Alex Luthor, all it is here for is for Alex Luthor to call Lex Luthor dumb. That's the only reason why the scene is here.
Yeah.
Oh,
How does it feel to be stupid?
yeah. One of the other things that we forgot to mention is when after Superman's like, Dick Grayson isn't better on our world, old Superman says that to Batman. Then Batman pulls out the kryptonite ring and tries to like suck his power, but he says like, it doesn't work. in this universe, like kryptonite doesn't work.
I'm not from that.
But he says the ring represents the paranoia and mistrust that will destroy you, which makes sense because this is all that Batman's been like turning into after his body got wiped.
I gotta build weapons against every other hero.
I like that.
And he's like, it would be nice. The world's finest years together again. Goodbye, Bruce, and he flies away.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, Power Girl is reading a journal.
Oh yeah, just quick sum up Alex and Lex. Alex fucks up Luthor, and Luthor has to teleport away.
Yeah. And Power Girl is reading this journal that Superboy Prime gave her from Lois. That's just like, basically like, I'm Golden Age Lois Lane. I'm like the sweetest woman in the world. And like, I miss Power Girl so much. And
yeah, she was like a daughter to me. And then Power Girl finds this big ass golden tower that's built out of the Anti-Monitor's corpse, who's the big world-eating dude from...
Has a decapitated head on it.
Yeah, he's basically the villain from Crisis on Infinite Earths that destroyed the multiverse.
I love the idea that, like, I know they always do this in comics because you have to represent it visually, but the idea that this force of nature that destroys the universe has a corpse, it's like... It's like, okay.
Or even better yet, that he has, like, arms and legs when he eats a universe.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's cool. I think it's
This isn't just like a comic thing. Like, a JRPG would do this, too. Like, you fight God and he has a body.
Kinda. JRPGs are more wild in their representation.
But also mythologies do this, too. Like, all the religions will have, like, the Earth will be created by the corpse of a dead guy and shit like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, at this point, most of the plot lines converge where...
Oh, by the way, the Anti-Monitor's corpse, it's important to note, has these little slots with a bunch of heroes.
Yeah. Instead of Infinity Gems, it's for people.
Yeah, so all the heroes like they've been disappearing, like the Ray and like Black Adam,
Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, he was taken from the Jedi Watchtower and was destroyed.
Yeah,
they're all here imprisoned. And what happens is Superboy and Alex show up saying, "Oh, you found out about us," and they knock Power Girl out.
Yeah, and meanwhile, while she sees this and they knock her out, and it's like, I told you she wouldn't help us. You know, she'll help us whether she likes it or not. Batman has reviewed the Watchtower video footage and saw that it was Superboy Prime that captured them.
And fucked up the Superboy Prime that attacked Martian Manhunter in the Watchtower and blew up the Watchtower.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then we're going to take a diversion here because this comic came out after this whole series was done, right?
Near the end. So this is the most famous part of this event. It's what everyone was talking about for months and months.
It's so fucking...
I think it's worth talking about also because this was written by the writer of the original
Marv Wolfman. Yeah,
Marv Wolfman. So this is him trying because he created these characters.
The writer of the original what?
Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Okay.
Crisis on Infinite Earths. And he created Superboy Prime and Alex Luthor, and I feel like he's trying desperately to give him a motive because the regular comic doesn't really give him a motive. Mm-hmm. So he kind of tries to do that here.
So yeah, we're covering the Secret Files issue. So it starts with...
I actually like this. I think the best out of all this stuff.
Me too. Yes. Yes, me too.
I think this issue is good.
Were you saying it's controversial because it's the worst?
No, it's controversial because there's a kind of a meme happened because of it.
Oh, because I read this, I didn't think it was like necessarily like awesome or shitty. I was like, this is cool, I guess.
Yeah, I like this issue. We'll get to why it's so worth talking about at the end. So it starts with Alex Luthor like meditating, and he realizes that like in this land without time, in that like heavenly like viewing place that they are, there's like no time passing, and he can't really tell if it's a hell or a heaven. But he starts like reviewing his history a little, and we get a little Crisis on Infinite Earths recap.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you explain this real quick, but this is the place they were before they broke free from that glass star.
Yeah, that reality bubble that saved them when all the worlds merged into one.
Yeah, so this is a prequel to issue 1.
Yeah, and we see that Superman and Lois Lane are together, and Superman has built like this like fake Daily Star, and like kind of he's recreating parts of their old lives.
That was also like another weird thing is that it doesn't go, the whole comic doesn't really explain like any kind of, I know you probably can't, I mean they could have, because this whole issue is dedicated to that, is how this reality works. It's just like whatever you think of, it just like happens or can happen, or like it reflects your mind. Like it's not concrete. It's just like Superman and Lois Lane are inside of the Daily Planet, and they're like excited about this, where I'm like, couldn't you just make this naturally all the time or something?
But it takes energy, because when Lois tries to do it, she passes out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's all fake too. Like it's just like they know it's fake. So it's
so Superman was like doing Minecraft creative mode here, just like, you know, going around recreating the place, built room by room. for her to show her.
And we see that Superboy Prime is watching scenes from his Earth, like his birthday party, where like his mom embarrassed him in front of his friends, but then she gave him a bike, and like
it's actually really important because his mom embarrassed him in front of his friends, right? Like giving him underwear, and he's like, "Isn't this embarrassing?" But what's great about this is the entire time he's looking over this, he's got always like a smile on his face.
Yeah,
he's at his most childlike here when he's looking over this, where he's like, "What else do I have to do, Alex? Besides, it's fun. You remember what they're like." And he's like looking over the parents, and Alex like he just doesn't care because he didn't grow up with parents that loved him. He grew up with the Monitor, which I don't know what the relationship was like, but the Monitor looks ugly, and I assume he was a bad person or not a great person.
He was like hyper aged in a tube. It was like a bunch of sci-fi stuff.
Yeah, he's like, I grew up in 20 minutes or whatever.
And that's an important thing. So part of the theme of that they give Marvel film gives them the characters is Alex Luthor never had a childhood, and Superboy Prime can never grow up.
Basically. Right, I was about to say he's like Arrested Development, where he just like he wants to go to have his parents and be a kid again and have birthday parties, but like they're all dead.
Yeah, it shows like he had his like first kiss with this lady that he liked, and that's when he flew, and he's like, right there, whammo! That's how fast it happened.
She's not really a lady. She's like a high school girl.
Yeah, she's a teenager.
Yeah, and that's the first time. Yeah,
but
like
then
said,
it cuts to like, and then Alex shows him. It's like, here's your parents getting like their reality destroyed when all the realities converge, and it's like he can't look at that. He's like, why is it showing me that? And he just turns away and he gets angry at that.
Yeah, and he also, like, Alex starts, he keeps showing Superboy Prime, like, look, this is Darkseid, this is Apocalypse, like, there's evil stuff here, too. It's not just all fun and games, you know? And we get, like, the scene you guys mentioned of Lois trying to create something. She creates this, like, cute heart that's, like, a young Lois and Clark kissing, and then she passes out. And it's, like, it's very, like, campy and sweet.
Yeah. Campy really is a good way to describe
it. It's
this.
sad. It's like the whole time she's like just dying and throughout this issue, and he's like, I don't want you to die. And she's like, I'm old. I'm like 80 years old or something.
Yeah, I love you, honey, but you can't change what's natural. I accept that I'm dying. Why can't you?
And then we see the dichotomy even stronger with Alex, where he's looking at Superman and Lois, and he's like, why can't I have a life like theirs or a past like his? And it's Superboy, crying and looking at all his friends
saying, why do you keep showing me that? Why?
Yeah. And then I love it. So then he goes, why won't you change it? And then it goes back to him getting his bike on his birthday. And he's like, all right, yes, this is better. It's like, man, this guy's tortured forever.
Yeah.
And then it shows him watching the main DC universe, and and one thing we didn't mention is throughout the entire arc, he keeps seeing our Superboy, Connor Kent.
Yeah.
He keeps seeing him, and he keeps being jealous because Connor Kent gets to be Superboy and he doesn't. So
yeah, he gets a family. He has Ma and Pa Kent. He has friends and like a team that he works with, and it's he's Superboy, whereas this Superboy Prime isn't. He's stuck in this bubble.
Yeah, and then Superboy gets so mad that he punches the wall and it shatters.
So this is the meme page. So I don't know when this started. I don't know if this is DC editorial, but if you check Wikipedia, for some reason this is cited as the big point of retcons. So
yes.
Because they're like it altered reality when he
punches reality. So like for example, this is the reason Jason Todd comes back from the dead.
Yeah, if you check out
wakes up.
If you check out Wikipedia, it says Jason Todd comes back because Superboy Prime punched reality.
Okay, yeah. So for everyone, if that sounds confusing, he punches the bubble and it shatters it, and there's like all these images forming in it, and then what happens is it gets explained that every time he punches it, he's changing the reality of the DC universe. So any kind of retcons that happen are actually canonically explained by Superboy. Because
he wails on this thing for a while
and punching the wall.
He beats the shit out of this wall and it just keeps retconning things.
And the funny thing is that if you read the main event, this never comes up. And also, they actually give a much better explanation for why the reality changes happen. Also, because it happens when Lex Luthor is trying to make the perfect reality, basically.
Yeah, yeah. So then, Chapter 2 is all from Earth 2 Superman's perspective. It's just him, like, he tours her through this, like, fake world that he made.
I like this a lot, because he's tormented by the fact that she's dying, and it's just this, the world becomes raining and dark skies, and he's trying to put on a smile, and as that happens, the sun comes out, and it's, like, nice, and he's trying to give her hope.
The colors get brighter, he smiles, he's like, look, I brought us back to Metropolis.
I don't want the listeners to think that like by me trying to rush through this, it's not good. It's really well written and I really enjoy it. It's just like mostly just like character introspection.
Yes, which is why I think I liked it so much, especially because it's characters I don't know. So it's like you can give a lot of backstory to them about like it's interesting because they're trapped in this like just little hell that they've made to stay alive. Like they built the bubble to stay alive, but then they can't do anything in the bubble other than just like talk.
There's no action scene in this comic whatsoever. There's the only comic.
I just see this next page, this few panels later now, reading this narration where it's Superboy punching the reality, and it's like, with each strike, he's sorting his way through the conflicting permutation, resolving all the possible realities. I was like, I'm just thinking about like resolving all the DC fuck ups that they've ever done. Editorial will be so happy as he wails on this reality bubble.
Yeah,
it's so funny.
Superboy does overhear like, I just wish this reality would let him grow up, Clark. I know he'll never be Superman here. And that's like one of the things that causes him to like break down again and start punching again. So this is when he's like, I'm really getting tired of watching pictures. We need to go do something about it. As Lois starts to get like sicker and sicker and sicker. And then part 3 is all from Superboy Prime's perspective. So I'm trying to think what really happens in here.
It's hard because all the beginning of this stuff almost kind of like reiterates what is already been told to you, especially because all these chapters, the Alex, Superman from Earth 2, and then Superboy Prime are all not exclusively told through them. It shows you what like other people are doing and stuff that it doesn't feel very distinctive.
Also, what I like about this one is that Lex Luthor's narration keeps interrupting, and you see Superboy being manipulated by Lex or Alex, and Superboy Prime is like, I just want to get out of this place. I want like to fix things. I want to have my own world. I want to go back to home. And Alex is like just manipulating him the whole time.
Yes, and so Alex is like, we can make a better world. Like we can use your power in my brain space to make the perfect Earth.
Yeah, and what happens is
you just gotta punch through this.
Yeah, he used some sort of like quantum energy. He has to get naked and blast him with his dick beams. I don't know why that part's there, but Alex Luthor he's able to send.
It doesn't
Superboy
come from his
Prime.
dick. He gets half naked and there's like star power. He's like half stars instead of showing his junk.
So is this why Superboy Prime is so powerful? Because he has like Alex Luthor energy?
So it's one of the he's also because he's like a Silver Age character, so he's like extra strong. Okay. But they find a way to send Superboy Prime to our universe, and this is in the past because Blue Beetle's.
You mean
alive.
Earth 1?
Yeah, Earth 1. Sorry.
Okay. Because our universe is Earth Prime. You told me, all right? So
don't lie to me.
I was confusing because Superboy is like literally from our universe, like us as human beings.
So the big reveal is that they didn't just break through at the end of Infinite Crisis #1. They've been breaking through for quite a while and been setting up all these pieces. So like that's why Alex Luthor was the one behind the Secret Society.
That's why he caused Omac to become sentient. He caused magic to go crazy.
Like all the stuff leading up to this, he also caused the magic to go crazy. Like all the tie-ins and stuff were all because they were manipulating.
For what fucking reason? Who knows?
Hold on, guys. I have to do this. If you go up when it's Superman holding Lois near the end of the issue, there's one image of Flash and he's all like shriveled.
Oh, that comes up later.
So Flash, Crisis on Infinite Earths was the story where Barry Allen died.
Yes.
He ran so hard, like that's like he dies unleashing his powers, sacrificing himself to stop the Anti-Monitor's plan. So he he turns into a skeleton.
Does he run so hard he gets old, or does he run so hard he loses all of his hydration?
He basically just runs into the Anti-Monitor to destroy him.
Yeah, he just like uses up all his energy.
That happens to a Flash again. He becomes all shriveled and wheelie, like in this.
Yes, because
like
that's an homage to Crisis of Infinite Earths. We're gonna get that next issue. So it ends with him with that reveal that he's the one that caused everything. All right, so just to quickly sum up the beginning of issue 4, it's because there's nothing to do with the main plot.
GG, this guy says, who is made of radioactivity.
So there's nothing to do with the main plot. All is literally a distraction. So as a distraction, the Secret Society of Evil blows up Nightwing's hometown, Bloodhaven.
That's all. Just blown up. They drop chemo on him.
Yeah, like a nuclear man, basically, and blow him up. Blow up the city.
Okay,
and before he blows up, he goes, "Oop."
Question: I don't understand what the Secret Society's plan is.
Just to like kill everybody,
cause enough chaos so that they don't see Alex Luthor stealing people and putting them into the big Anti-Monitor town.
Yeah, so they basically distract the superheroes. They don't.
Why do they want to do this?
Well, the main thing is because remember, Alex Luthor was the one directing them. And
as Lex Luthor, he's
so
like
to get into a little bit of the universe for very, very quickly. When it came out that Dr. Light was mind wiped in Identity Crisis, all of the supervillains started getting very, very paranoid that they're gonna get mind wiped too, or that they'd already been mind wiped. So that pushed the villains to start working together, and Luthor took over and was like, I'm the smartest guy. Look at me. I'm never in jail, and everybody knows I fucking try to kill Superman all the time. Also, he was like the president right before this. So they all follow his orders. So when he's saying go do this, they're just like, Luthor knows, he'll keep us out of jail. And
so they did trust, just like everyone trusts in Trump.
I like how Alex Luthor watching this says like Sodom and Gomorrah, Bloodhaven Falls, and I'm just thinking the last issue had everyone just murdering cops in the streets, and I'm like, maybe this place does deserve to get blown up.
Yeah. That's why it's kind of a convincing argument. One of the things I hate, I'm already going to get into this. I really like in the beginning how it's like Alex seems like he has a good plan. It's sort of like with Maxwell Lord, where like I can kind of agree with this, but then with the last issue, the way that he's drawn so frequently is he's like the menacing like snarl look on his face where he just like hates like this world so much. He's like, I can make it perfect, I can make it better. He doesn't become a compelling villain. He becomes very one note, and there's like no depth about him other than like he just thinks that he can make the world better. That's
I mean, it's like a light Death Note type thing where you're like, it's like a god complex, you know?
Yeah, but that's why I wanted to do that Secret Files issue, because I feel like Geoff Johns wrote him. Like, the only reason he gives in the book really is the Luthor and Superman always have to be opposed, so I have to be the bad guy now.
Yeah.
And later on, they mention that I'm the only hero, so like two contradictory ideas. I have to contradict Superman, or I'm the only hero. Like two contradictory ideas. I think I like Marv Wolfman's idea best, that he wants to have a world where he can grow up in a perfect world.
Why do the people fueling the Anti-Monitor all have different vibrational frequencies hidden in their
it's such comics bullshit. It's really
so the reason why he's picking these people is they're all from different like pre-Crisis on Infinite Earths universes. So like Power Girl's from Earth 2. Black Adam was from the Shazam, the Fawcett universe.
Comics.
Yes. Darryl knows. He knows everything. He's getting the hang of it now. So
I don't want this. I've never asked for this.
And Martian Manhunter's just the Earth 1 guy?
Yes, I think so. Yes, he's one of the most prominent. Like he's in like every Jesus League.
Oh, team. And Ray was from that the Uncle Sam universe.
Yes, Uncle Sam.
Yeah, see.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
So now we get another like nice moment with Batman and Nightwing, where
Batman's like, "Oh, don't go, Nightwing. It's a distraction. We blow up your city. It's a distraction."
Yeah, but Batman was like, I came here I wanted to see if you're all right. And Nightwing's like, I gotta go get in there. And Batman's like, wait, everybody's dead. Stop.
Yeah, because it's an entire city. This is like another coast city. Like the entire city just gets like blown up.
Now, I think this is a good time to just talk about why Nightwing is in this
Okay,
book
wait,
so much.
hold on. I just one nitpick.
Okay,
Why
sure.
did they show Coast City getting blown up in any of these pages?
Well, they show Parallax. I think that's...
It's what,
that's
it's
still
a good point.
to
No,
me, that's not enough.
it would be way more powerful to show Coast City.
Yeah,
it's
that's
like,
a good point.
It's like the bombing of Hiroshima. You're like,
Yeah.
the image of that is enough to be like, this world is...
if you want something like where evil prevailed in this universe where it never would have been
Maybe
in the
just because
40s.
that's not as like visually like it's just a bombed out city.
Yeah,
like,
it would've been
wouldn't be
visually
as
not
visually
distinctive.
grabbing.
You guys might.
I agree with you. I agree.
Yeah, I agree, but it might not be. They probably could have by having like Mongol's fortress, because that's what happened. Or actually, they should have had Cyborg Superman standing over an atomic bomb, and you could have gotten that visual, I think, of Coast City. But so just to sum up the Batman Nightwing scene briefly, he basically gets him up to see what happened, and at the end of it, Batman asks Nightwing before he leaves, the early years, I've forgotten if they were good for you, weren't they? And Nightwing says the best.
It's a nice moment.
Yeah. And so what happened was Superboy Prime's like, I want to go fucking meet this shitty Superboy on our world. I want to go meet this shitty Superboy. And Alex was like, if I want to go beat the shit out of him, okay, fine. So Superboy Prime shows up at Mom Pa Kent's house, and he's like, don't worry, guys.
Fun fact, the night before this in Italian, Superboy lost his virginity.
Wow.
Great.
Yeah,
Thanks for
the
FYI.
Right in Mom Pa Kent's barn.
Great.
Thanks for that. So he goes to Superboy Prime goes to Mom Pa Kent and says, don't worry, real Superboy's here. I'm gonna make everything better. But when he goes to meet the main DC Superboy, he starts stuttering and he's like mumbling. I just came to tell you. And main Superboy's like, what's the mumbling? I want you to admit it. Admit that you're giving up. Admit that it's time for a Superboy who knows what's right and wrong. And main Superboy's like, dude, you need help. And so Superboy Prime starts saying, I'm Superboy! And they start fighting. And it's the fucking Zod versus Superman fight from Man of Steel, basically, where they're fucking destroying the town, basically.
Yeah.
A little bit like that. It's a little more interesting just because Superboy's like, he clearly needs someone like to talk to that's not Alex. Because like Crypto like jumps up up on him and bites his shoulder, and he's like, "Let go! You're not supposed to fight me!" And he like kicks the dog, and it's just like sad and pathetic
It's
watching
really
him.
sad.
Yeah.
I think like it gets worse and worse as it goes on because he comes in kind of just like a little bit of a dick, and as people start piling on him, and he kicks Super
Yeah,
Dog.
because Superboy calls the Teen Titans.
The main Superboy has the Teen Titans button to call everyone, and almost every fucking Teen Titan in the world shows up just to save Superboy. And what happens is Superboy accidentally just explodes Teen Titan's head and says, "No, I didn't mean to do that."
Yeah,
He's
looking
like,
at the
yeah.
blood and with like tears in his eyes.
It's really sad. I'm like, if you had Superman powers or stronger, and you had people like beating the shit out of you, and you just like.
And not
you're
just that,
angry
you're
and
like
upset.
you're like repressed. You're
Yeah.
a child in a big man's body in a way.
Yeah.
And he does take one of the Titans and he grabs him and he rips his arm off.
Yeah.
And fun fact, next time Superboy Prime shows up, he rips off this guy's other arm.
Oh.
Yeah. So he's like, Superboy Prime's crying, saying, "I didn't mean to. I'm sorry.
You're ruining everything.
You're ruining me.
You're making me like you." And he fucking kills more Teen Titans. He fucking explodes
Yeah.
a Gorilla Man.
And then my boy Wally West shows up. for 3
Okay,
pages.
so why are there so many Flashes? Who is this? Who are these people?
So this is Golden Age Flash, Wally West, and Impulse, who is
Kid Flash.
Kid Flash from the Kid Flash.
So
from
it's
the
Grandpa
future.
Flash, Flash, and Kid Flash.
Yes.
Okay.
So 3 generations of Flash, basically.
Okay. I did like this actually. I like the way the art gets like really wobbly as they like.
Yeah. So basically, the plan is to trap him in the Speed Force. So they're running at the speed of light, trying to capture.
Also, how is that a thing? Is this a thing that's been done before?
Yeah, you can go to the Speed Force.
You can go to Speed Force, but I don't know, like you can trap people in there. I guess. But
How do you go there? You go really fast.
You go real fast.
And so as Wally's being teleported, he goes to his family saying, "I'm going to the Speed Force. Goodbye. I'm going where my uncle went, because the rich Barry Allen went." And
Also, the art again is pretty cool here because as they're the picture here is 3 Flashes running Superboy really fast, and he's like "fuck," and they're running with him. And as he's doing that, Wally is just his body's like bouncing all over the place, like, and that's when he pops into his family as this like glowing squiggly yellow man.
So this is supposed to parallel because Barry at the beginning of Crisis on Infinite Earths is like he shows up in a bunch of places because it's him like running into the Speed Force, like running through time pretty much. And this is supposed to parallel that, where Wally's like, "Hey, it's a crisis, so it's time for a Flash to die, so see you later." But this time, the difference is his wife and his kids, who, if you've listened to our Heroes in Crisis episodes, know that that's kind of like his whole thing, is they're like, "No, this time, we're not going to let you go by yourself like your uncle did. We're coming with you." And they basically, like, grab onto him and go
Get
into
zapped
the
away.
Speed Force.
Yes.
Also, he says, "I'm not going to the Speed Force. I'm going someplace else. I have to let go of everything I love." And that's when she's
Spoilers,
like-
he goes to the Speed Force.
Also, spoilers. None of this matters. Like a year from now, everything gets erased from this fucking plot point.
Yes.
And also,
I hate
another
this just
difference-
because he kisses his wife and then the lightning hits his little tiny baby infant kid's eyes. I'm like, of course, now they got speed. Now they're
They do.
running fast too.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I mean, if you take your kids to speed dimension, they would probably get speed power.
And the
But
main
why
thing
not
that
take
happens
more
is-
people? If you can give all these people Flash powers, why wouldn't you start giving more people Flash powers?
They do. There's like a fucking dozen speedsters.
Yeah, there's a lot of speedsters.
So speaking of which, all the dead speedsters now show up that are one with the Speed Force, which I never really thought about it. This is just Star Wars. You all die and become one with the Force. That's what happens.
Yeah, but I just want to say real quick, another difference from the Barry in Infinite Crisis of Infinite Earths is that Barry was the main character in Crisis of Infinite Earths, while this
Yes.
has nothing to do with anything. Which one of my
Yeah.
problems with it is that it's this big moment for Flash, and he's not in the story really as part of
But
this one.
as someone who had no idea about any of this stuff, I thought this was a cool scene because it's like it gives character to the speedsters.
I know, but the problem is like Crisis of Infinite Earths did this better because he was the main character running throughout the entire story, while here it's just
Yeah.
this one scene.
Yeah, it's cool to like build up to it rather than just like let's do an homage to like Flash is running so fast they die.
Yeah, and spoilers, the whole point of the scene is that all the Flashes going to Speed Force, so all the Flashes are going. Like this is a big
Except
moment.
Grandpa Flash.
He can't keep up. He's like, my tendons.
Yeah, and he says like the Speed Force left me. Like so this is that's an interesting concept, and it would have been better if they build up to it, where all the Flashes are gone, and only one left has no Speed Force anymore.
I also do love how Superboy this whole time is like, no, they made me do it. No, don't do this to me. You can't get rid of me. I'm gonna be Superman when I grow up. And they're like dragging him into this, like they're all running so fast that they just drag him into hell.
So then what happens is Alex goes to that big space fight that wasn't relevant for all these pages, but they kept cutting
Yeah,
to
it's
it.
at the center of the universe, so you're like, oh, that's got to be important.
No, but
'cause-
the center of the universe is in the wrong place now. Whatever that means.
I'm going to fix everything, he says, as like the Earth starts to shake. Yes, yes, and then there's like it shows 2 Earths.
Yeah, so he created a second Earth, and the issue ends with Earth 2 Superman and Lois Lane arriving at the Daily Star, which is the Earth 2
Daily Planet. And
And
they're like,
it's
we're home.
We're home.
Yes.
I'm talking about New Earth today. All right, so issue 5 opens with the Earths near each other. Like from Earth, you can see this new Earth. They have a big mass with all the superheroes who are Christian that show up and say, "Hear our prayer." I love that this one guy is a demon but a Catholic, and he's burning in the church. I'm like, God is so mean to do that to him.
It's a Catholic. You gotta be penitent. And
That's
suffer.
true. And good old Detective Chimp tells us this. And then,
Listen,
so they're on this.
subscribe to our Patreon if you want to hear more about Detective Chimp and the rude thing Phil says about it.
Then we get back to this new Earth, and yeah, like we said at the end of the last issue.
Well,
they're
actually,
looking at
New Earth is the universe created after Flash.
This
is Earth 2.
Oh yeah,
Earth-
and a bunch of
Yeah,
Earth
you're
2,
right.
the heroes that were originally Earth 2 disappeared when the
What is
Earth
this
2
one
appeared.
called then? Is this
It's
just
Earth
Earth
2.
2?
Earth- Earth 2,
Yeah,
Earth
this is
2,
Earth 2.
Sorry. So why are these people on Earth 2 that are?
So these are all Golden Age characters. So you have
Yes.
Grandpa Flash, you have Wildcat.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay,
So
this
they
dog
were
man.
automatically transferred to Earth 2.
They were originally from here and got mushed into the
Yes.
other Earth.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, that's why they all look so stupid. All right. So, I mean, seriously.
Yeah, he's all
Look at
right.
these people.
This dog man.
And before while they're adjusting to life here, before Sly yells at me, I just have to very quickly say this is when Booster Gold brings Blue Beetle to Batman, and it's
Don't talk about him.
and
I forgot he saved the world apparently. I forgot
yeah,
everything
but this is
happened.
this is Booster's like Batman's like I have a plan. I have to go find the Brother Eye satellite, and Booster's like I already called everybody. I looked in the future who you took, but you didn't have Blue Beetle. And he's like this is just some kid. And he's like well the Scarab merged with his spine, so now he's basically like an Iron Man type character, but like not
Yeah.
by choice.
Iron Man of alien tech.
Yeah,
Why is
yeah.
he the only one who can see the cloaked Brother Eye?
Because he has this alien tech.
Because
scarab that
alien
puts him in
tech,
this-
Phil. I think this was the other thing that really like bugged me after reading Omac, because I love that Blue Beetle had an inferiority complex because he couldn't use the scarab. He just had to be smart, and that was the one thing he had to rely on. Whereas here, this kid's just like, oh, I'm naturally gifted with this beetle.
That actually becomes like a really major point of Jaime's solo series that launches right after this about like living up to the legacy of someone who has no powers but was a great guy, where you're just like this kid that was given all these powers.
Yeah, that's
But
interesting.
none of that is here. But it's also, I think it's fair to say that it's not supposed to be, because Jaime the whole time is like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. I'm just this kid, the guy who is on my
No,
toothpaste
I
tube.
just feel like I've read so many like Spider-Man-esque stories where a kid is just given great powers
That's
and
fair,
then does
that's fair.
great things with it. Whereas I don't feel like I've read a lot of things where it's like Batman-like guys, but like more on the failure spectrum of
But
Batman.
also, Spider-Man characters were more common in Marvel than DC. I think
Yeah.
like, Jaime was one of the most prominent early ones for
Yeah.
DC.
That's very fair.
So we on Earth 2, Earth 2 Superman tells us why he fell in love with Lois. It's like a sweet thing, and then she still collapses, and he's like, "What the fuck? I'm on Earth 2. This is supposed to fix you." And she's like, "I had a good life. I'm grateful." and he says, "I couldn't save our Earth back then, but I will save you. That's what I do. Superman always saves Lois Lane." And she's like, that's not how it works.
with all your powers, with everything you saw and did, you still never. It can't end this way. It's not going. And then she passes away, and he goes, "It's not going. What? It's not going to end this way? Is that what you're trying to say, Lois?"
This is actually one of my favorite scenes in the whole book.
And he screams so loud he shatters the glass throughout Metropolis.
And then on Earth 1, Superman hears him yelling on Earth 2.
A fellow
and,
Superman in trouble.
Yeah, he flies over. That'll come up again later, I guess. Some bullshit is, what is this?
It's more Wonder Woman. My favorite is Wonder Woman goes to stop these people from rioting. They're like, "Oh, you're a murderer." I'm like,
Yeah, we're rioters, we're killing people, but you can't judge us.
There's a guy with a gun, and she deflects a bullet, and they're like, "Oh, why'd you do that? You're a murderer." It's like, come on.
Yeah, and the Wonder Woman stuff like you can make this idea
Yeah.
work that she's more morally ambiguous, but
yeah,
this is
you want
not
character
doing-
assassination? This is it right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then who shows up but Golden Age Wonder Woman, I guess?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
In the Invincible Jet.
Hey,
Yep.
guys.
Yep. And then, so we have the two Supermans hanging out now on Earth 2. He's like, do you need help?
And he's like, it's your fault. You brought this corruption with you. You're spreading it like a disease. And he picks up a car and it says, you killed my wife, and smashes it into our Superman. And this is the cover of Action Comics #1.
Yeah, it's the reverse. Rather than saving the guy with the car, he's smashing it into Superman.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is really good.
So they fight, whatever. For some reason, Alex Luthor needs the help of Psycho Pirate. Who's the only guy who can see between the universes, who can walk between the worlds. And
Psycho Pirate.
If you ever read Grant Morrison's Animal Man, Psycho Pirate is a major part of Grant Morrison's Animal Man, and it's like a big meditation. Like, Psycho Pirate's a good character. Why do people like Psycho Pirate? Why isn't he important? And Geoff Johns is like, I like Psycho Pirate. Here's the main character in this book, Psycho Pirate.
This is not explained at all in the book, I don't think. But the reason why he's there is because he was a major character in Crisis on Infinite Earths. He's the only one who remembers the multiverse.
Oh yeah,
he's the only one that retained his memory.
So we get,
actually, I think they do say that, but they don't give a lot of context. It's just like, oh, we're
Psycho Pirate.
And Psycho Pirate, by the way, basically makes people feel emotions and controls them that way.
yeah. It also doesn't matter. He's about to die. Spoilers.
I know, but like he tries to fucking control Black Adam's emotion, and Black Adam's like, no, you don't, and just poke his eyes out so hard they explode his head.
It was weird too because like that scene of him dying was like kind of comedic. I'm like, this guy was like kind of the only other villain other than Alex and maybe like Superboy Prime that's in this like repeat through multiple scenes. Yeah. And that he dies in like a jokey way where like heroes are working with Black Adam, spoilers, and they're like, that's pretty violent. I'm like, you guys shit on Wonder Woman who killed a guy who was mind controlling Superman. Meanwhile, you work with Black Adam, he murders a man, you're like, I wouldn't want to be on the end of that.
No, but to be fair, they're not like, oh, Black Adam's on our side. Yeah, they're like, I think Black Adam's on our side. Let's take advantages for now. Yeah. Like, it's very much like Black Adam's like a villain that's working with us at this moment.
But
like,
still, they're just like, I feel like they're just whatever. So much leeway to villains. It's like, they do kill people. Oh well.
I think it's more problem with the Wonder Woman scenes because those scenes are more dumb than.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So we get the two Wonder Womans hanging out, and Mama Wonder Woman is basically just giving a pep talk to our Wonder Woman, who's like, "Hey, what you need to remember is people are humans, and you're human too, and remind people that people make mistakes, even Superman." She drops her off with the two Supermans.
Despite all the flaws with humanity, there's just many strengths. Remind him of that, and remind him of that. So
the two Supermans are fighting, and she shows up.
It's also
like, hey,
we didn't mention this, but it's like a minor point that Wonder Woman has lost her home, the Amazonians, after seeing like the world seeing their dangerous tech. They're like, let's teleport away with.
Yeah, the guys teleport them away. I briefly mentioned it, but I don't think I finished my thought. But yeah,
and we'll never come back. You'll never be able to.
So now Wonder Woman doesn't like have a home, so that's why she's also been kind of lost because all of her friends are gone now too.
So they yell at each other for a while.
Old Superman's like, you could have made it perfect, but we fucked it up. You're shitty. That's why I'm here.
You guys lobotomize your villains. You build a spy satellite that killed people. You killed Maxwell Lord. You guys are not good. And then Superman is like, if you're from this Earth, it can't be perfect because a perfect Earth doesn't need Superman. And he's like, fuck.
Yeah, I actually like that a lot.
It's a good line, good scene.
Yeah. It makes sense because he's like, everything's so much better in my world. It's like, then why is Superman needed?
Well, I like too is like how he's drawn, like him realizing that he's actually darker than our heroes, like the Wonder Woman and the gritty Wonder Woman and Superman.
Get the coloring
as he realizes that.
Yep. So then we go back to this reality canon or whatever that Alex Luthor's making.
This is where it gets into all the nonsense where I was saying like. I like the messaging behind it, but I found Flex Mental so much more convincing, even though that was nonsensical too. But that was like, you were supposed to enjoy the nonsense here.
It was postmodern. This is just shit's happening because the plot demands is happening.
Yeah, because this starts getting like crazy.
And like, so they basically use the canon with all the heroes on it from the different universe, and the Supermans are like the fuel or something. And so
it's a meta commentary that everything keys from Superman because Superman was the first superhero ever, first superhero at DC. So it's a meta commentary that everything's tied to Superman. Now Lex Luthor is using Superman to basically merge all the worlds together to find the perfect world, and he's like shifting through them now.
Yeah, and instead of two Earths, now there's like 1 million in the sky, and they're all like slamming into each other and blowing
and one's
up.
a cube. That's Bizarro Earth.
Oh my god.
Oh. So we have, thank God, Nightwing's here to save the day.
Nightwing and Robin, they're gonna save the day.
Nightwing and Robin, it's Superman.
And
Superboy.
It's not Superboy Prime, just Superboy.
Our Superboy. I mean, Superboy
from Earth 1. Connor Kent.
Kent.
Goddamn, kill me now.
The Flash shows up again.
Yeah.
And
Wait,
spoilers,
which Flash is this?
So this is
It
they don't
is.
say
It is
now.
Kid Flash. It is Kid. No, he says it's him. Like they don't say
He
it now.
says
They
it
say
later. He says it later. But it's Kid Flash that's now grown up. They kept Superboy Prime trapped in the Speed Force for years.
Yeah.
But he broke out, and now he's here, and he's Superboy Prime, and he's got this crazy armor. He's ready to beat the shit out of everybody.
And he's been in prison for years, so he's fucking pissed.
Yes, and also he has the Monitor's armor. So now he got
the Anti-Monitor's armor.
The Anti-Monitors. Now he got the Anti-Monitor's powers. He got Superboy Prime's powers. He got the fucking shit from being.
If you're trapped in the Speed Force, how are you constructing armor?
Whatever the Speed Force is, he can go through time and get the fucking.
I'm just like, because he came back, I'm like, what? Like, I thought it was a big momentous moment, them pushing him so fast. He's just like gone out here. Instead, it's like, no, I'm just back, dog, and now I got cool armor that makes me immune to magic.
That's the reason why that fucking Flash shit is dumb. They did that whole fucking all those pages in this very dense book. Like this, you could have spent that time explaining Connor Kent better and all this other stuff. You spent all the time on the Flash scene, and all it is just temporarily slow down Superboy Prime for an issue.
No,
One issue,
the whole thing is because DC just wants to make me watch Wally West die as many times as possible. I think we're up to like 3 or 4 now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for some reason, we keep picking issues where it happens.
Yes. Issue 6.
Issue 6 opens with all the
Space!
planets. And so the Green Lantern and Batman and Blue Beetle are like, let's go find Brother
I
Eye.
love this. How Green Arrow is making jokes as these different Earths smash into each other. There's like Cracker Jacks on me at the next baseball game. I got Yankees tickets, or that's Hal Jordan, whoever.
Yeah,
I can imagine people do it. Like if you saw the world blowing around you, like I'll make jokes.
I
too.
think
like,
you'd be in shock.
I know,
Yeah.
but like I would be shocked, and then I'll probably make grim jokes. Like I would not.
Yeah.
Like you have. I don't think. I think it's part of like how humans.
That's all I know how to
cope.
do.
I'm gonna be excited for Mushroom Cloud to go off in the distance when we're hanging out with Slide. He's gonna be like ripping us. Does it look like a dick, guys?
Based on what happened after Trump won, my sense of humor got darker after that. So I'd say I've got a good sense of how I will react in situations like this.
So we get like a montage of all these universes, and what's happening here is Alex Luthor is grabbing different Earths and picking elements of different Earths and slamming them together to form what he finds as the perfect Earth.
like the ultimate DC editor.
Yeah. Did you guys see there's a
If
planet?
they had to make a new world.
There's a planet, Bizarre Earth has Bizarre Superman choking Bizarre Lois Lane.
I love how one of the Earths is just they're all cowboys. Earth 898. I'm like, what is going on here? It's a Western always.
Jonah Hex.
Jonah Hex, yeah.
I don't
Whatever,
know
it
who
doesn't
is.
matter.
Okay.
Yeah. There's just so many
Then
characters.
just
in
there's another
every
scene of just
panel.
the Spectre showing up and killing everybody that doesn't matter at all.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I like how there's a universe where just it's always the Nazis they mentioned earlier. They're like, yeah, there's a universe where they just always fight. The superheroes are always fighting Nazis. I'm like, okay.
That's our universe. That's Earth Prime.
So they go. So Batman leads a team to go after Project OMAC. And just to briefly sum up Mr. Terrific, Mr. Terrific's an atheist. Before he talked about how God is stupid, and people are like, "How can you not believe in God if all this shit you see?" And he's like, "There must be an explanation for it." So now Mr. Terrific reveals his power. He can be invisible technology, and he basically sneaks into Project OMAC and
Wait,
disables
reveals
him.
his power? Did he always have this power?
No,
Or is
yeah,
this
that's
just-
He reveals it to the
okay.
reader in the story. I mean, he always has his power, but it's to reveal why he's here. He was here because he has his power to be invisible technology, and he disables Project OMAC. That sums up that scene. All those pages.
And we see that Superboy Prime, while he's starting to fight everybody, he's immune to magic, so Black Adam is powerless against him.
Oh yeah, and OMAC, while he's fighting Batman before he gets disabled, he keeps saying like, "Nightwing is you have Nightwing fighting Superboy Prime. Like, what the fuck needs to happen? Nightwing's gonna die in this comic. You fucking idiots. Their powers are so disparate."
So at the end of this issue, I'm going to talk about why that is so on the nose. But
Yeah.
So yeah, is this whole issue just fighting?
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
think we need
fighting.
to talk about anything here. It's just a lot of fighting.
Wait,
punching.
Stonehenge, guys.
What?
We talked about that. That's when the Spectre
Yeah.
shows up. And
Yeah. Spectre blows up people's person.
Yeah.
So Superboy now shows up, and he's really, really fighting Superboy Prime a lot. And most of the issue is just this fight between the two of them. And I like this fight because it's a lot of like, I'm the real Superboy, like the same kind of issues we were talking about before. But Superboy's like really trying to prove himself, and
And Superboy's really trying in the last fight. He was mostly just letting him get the
himself.
shit. Yeah, letting himself get the shit beat out of him. But now he's like trying to fight.
yeah. And Superboy Prime really beats the hell out of him. But during this whole fight,
Oh yeah, he says, "I let you judge me, beat me down, but you go after my girlfriend, you go after my family, after my world. No way, no damn way." So now he's motivated to fight to protect his world.
yeah. And during this fight, they smash the giant Anti-Monitor corpse machine. And then in all the wreckage, we see like this whole multiverse get like shattered. There's all these things going on. It's crazy. And then Wonder Girl who's Superboy's girlfriend, finds his body. But he's like, he said I wasn't the real Superboy. He was wrong. I just forgot for a little while. We all forgot. Don't let them forget again. And she's like, you did it, Connor. You saved the Earth. You saved everyone. He's like, isn't it cool? And he dies in her arms.
Yeah.
And it's actually, I think it's a pretty impactful death scene.
Yeah, when Darryl said like this is worse than Heroes in Crisis, I think this scene alone makes this comic way better than Heroes in Crisis. I think that's more emotional.
There's nothing good about Heroes in Crisis, so
I
know, but like this.
I didn't feel anything for this.
I thought that's one of those lines. I feel it shows the character. It's not just I'm glad I sacrificed myself. It shows that Superboy is still like a Superboy from the '90s. Isn't it cool? I saved the universe as he dies. I think a good writer does that, and instead of just having a generic, well, honor my death or some shit. I think he touched the character and like a really tragic note.
Especially because the behind the scenes here was that Dan DiDio, the editor, really wanted to kill Nightwing in this book. He was like, you have to kill Nightwing. Fuck Nightwing. We have to kill Nightwing. And Geoff Johns, who was writing Teen Titans at the time, and we already talked about how his life work was to tell the story about how he was cloned from Lex Luthor. He said, listen, if you don't kill Nightwing, I will kill Superboy instead. If you need a big death in this issue, I will sacrifice my pet character so that Nightwing can live, because Nightwing's too important to the DC universe.
Yeah.
So they said, okay. So, like, I think that Geoff Johns is really showing his love of Superboy in the scene, but also, like, I think it makes way more sense for Superboy to be the one to die. It makes way more sense for that to be the arc that this takes. It's a better writing choice.
Yep.
But it also explains why Nightwing is so prevalent in the early issues for really, like, he shouldn't really be.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So, in issue 7, it starts right where we left off, but now we see this huge cut of like all these supervillains and all these superheroes, just like 10 million characters.
They're all on one Earth now, and they're all like.
It's
now...
just crazy. Like,
Yeah.
It's like, who are these
My
people?
favorite is just Bane breaking someone else's back. You don't even know who it is.
Poor
like,
guy,
this
he's
is
just
my
like,
move.
he's
You don't even care. You're like,
Yeah.
Bane's gonna Bane.
And at this point,
I love how the Riddler is fighting. I'm like, what is he doing
He's
here?
not fighting. He's getting his ass kicked by a flying person.
by guy on the fucking I forget his name, but on the guy in the fucking
You got
Pegasus.
Solomon Grundy getting shot in the back.
oh, it's probably Shining Knight if he's on a Pegasus. Whatever.
Doomsday's here for just
Doomsday
because
shows up.
for fun.
I love this. Doomsday shows up and he's like, oh my god, how he beat Superman last time. Now it's 2 Supermen, so it's okay.
Yeah.
And if you should have Doomsday,
Yeah, so they're fighting Doomsday. It's just everybody's fighting everybody.
It's
for
just
pretty
so
long
much
time.
fighting.
And
Yeah.
at this point, the Superboy Prime is like, I'm going to be the one who ends this. And he goes to fly away. The Green Lantern Corps tries to stop him.
I just want to quickly explain. This is what they explain. They explained that when Superboy blew up the machine and the worlds merged back together, that's when all the reality shifting stuff happened. And I bring it up because like Lucifer goes like by point. Like in this universe, Batman was known to the public. And like, why would he bring this up? Like, why would he bring this up to Superboy Prime? What all this shit's happening?
One thing about the cosmic stuff that they mentioned earlier is that, like I said, the center of the universe shifted. It was normally Oa, I guess.
Yeah.
And
The
so,
Green Lantern planet.
Yeah, so Alex Luthor was trying to shift the center of the universe to the old center of the universe or something so he could sync up, whatever. And now Superboy Prime is like, I'm going to fly through Oa and just blow up. I'm going to restart. I'm going to make a big bang, and I'll be the only one left, and I'm going to restart the universe. I'll do a reboot with just me.
Yeah.
And I can do what I want.
So the
Yeah.
Green Lantern Corps shows up. Superboy Prime kills Big Head Guy, which I love. And, R.I.P.
It is crazy how strong Superboy Prime is.
Yeah. And then, so the 2 Supermen go off to fight Superboy Prime, and they're chasing him down. And at this point, Batman confronts Alex Luthor, and he's like, I know what Superman's going through. He doesn't deserve that. Superboy didn't deserve that. What do you deserve? And he holds a gun up to Alex Luthor's head. And
Batman does this to Alex.
Wonder Woman comes up and says, Bruce, and she throws down her sword, I guess showing that she's not a murderer anymore. She's like, it's not worth it. And Batman hesitates and says, I know, damn it. And he throws the gun down, which I actually like the scene where Batman.
How does Alex Luthor not just blow them up?
Well, because his theta waves don't affect whatever.
Gun to my head, no.
Only thing that happens conveniently after fucking rocks explode. It's a good thing that happened, or else Alex could have just got revenge right then and there somehow.
Yeah. So we see Superboy and Superman and the other Superman are the Earth 2 Superman and our Superman.
The two Supermen are fighting Superboy Prime.
Yeah, and they're trying to drag him to Krypton, and he's like, "You're an idiot. You're two idiots. Kryptonite won't affect me." But they drag him through the red sun of Krypton.
The red sun does affect him according to TV's canon.
That's where he was kept. They kept him under Red Sun in the Speed Force. I guess that's there.
Yeah.
So they land on the. Oh, God, you guys are gonna be so mad.
Oh, also it blows up his armor when he goes through the red sun.
Yeah.
And the armor was letting him harness the power of yellow suns.
Yes.
It was like a yellow sun battery or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
it also makes him immune to magic. So I'm like, okay, this guy's done. You know, once that's like.
So they land on the Green Lantern planet Mogo, who is stationed by Krypton, and they just start like So Superboy Prime is now beating the shit out of Earth 2 Superman, and he's like, you said the Earth was dark and corrupted. You saw it had to happen. You saw our sacrifice become pointless. Lois died because of them. My Earth died because of them. You have to understand why I'm doing this. And he's like, really, like his knuckles are bloody. And our Superman comes and grabs him. They start fighting. He smashes them with kryptonite, and they're all like depowered, and it's just like an all-out brawl. And Superman starts yelling like it's not about where you were born. It doesn't matter what universe you came from or what powers you have or what you wear in your chest. It's only about what you do. It's about action. As like all three of them just collapse next to all this kryptonite, and then the Green Lanterns show up and neutralize all the kryptonite. Power Girl,
Old Man Superman passes away.
Yeah, in Power Girl's arms, and we got seeing the image of Golden Age Superman, Golden Age Lois Lane. As Superman.
I thought that was nice, as silly as it is.
Yeah. And no, I think a lot of the moments in this issue are nice. So, and Superman, Earth 2 Superman says it's not going to end. It's never going to end for us. One day you'll see they're still out there, Lois, and that's when he dies. And then we just get like a quick montage of like, here's all the new status quos.
Yeah.
The Spectre is an old cop, and Bart is the Flash now, and all these heroes that were in space are missing. And then for the epilogue,
we get the payoff to the Joker scene from before.
yeah, we get the payoff. Alex Luthor
"Quote unquote payoff."
Yeah, Alex Luthor is sneaking around the alleyways of Gotham
He's like,
City.
I failed this time to merge all the universes and make the perfect Earth, but next time I'll be successful.
I will
But
make it perfect.
He gets stopped by the Joker and our Lex Luthor, and he's like, Lex Luthor says, you made a lot of mistakes. You underestimated Superman and Superboy, me, but the biggest one, you didn't let the Joker play. Now who's stupid? And they kill him.
Yeah.
And then
So stupid.
we get the
It's
finals.
it's funny because the moral is like, they did the right thing in not killing Alex, but the villains killed him. Is that a better message?
Yeah. And then we get that the Trinity, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman are all going away for a year. Batman is retracing his steps to like reground himself as like retracing steps like when he trained to be Batman. But this time he's learned not to go it alone. He's bringing Robin and Nightwing with him. Superman is powerless. He's lost all his powers by flying through the sun. And Wonder Woman is gonna go
Does he
find
say
out
that?
who she is. Well,
Yes, he does. They do say.
I did not get that from this.
Yeah, where does he say that?
maybe he doesn't say it in this, but that is what happened.
Wow, that is a big thing to leave
Yeah,
out.
that's a big loss.
Maybe it was implied, but because Superboy lost his powers and they're all surrounded by kryptonite, I missed it. Maybe
I thought it was the kryptonite devouring them.
Yeah, I thought you're not around kryptonite. You're good.
that is a good point. Okay, so again, Geoff Johns can't establish things to save your life.
Well,
Okay.
the thing is, Geoff Johns was about to write the Superman book where he immediately says it in the first issue. So
but why not
maybe
say it at
it's
the end of
just-
this? So he could, why not?
He
Why
should
not?
really say it.
I
at the
was
end of
like, I
this.
guess Superman's leaving for whatever reason.
But Lois Lane's like, Wonder Woman's like, I've been Wonder Woman for so long, and you find out who Diana is. So I want to stop being Wonder Woman for you.
And they're like, a world without Superman, Batman, or Wonder Woman, huh? And they're like, what are you going to do with all your time? And it's like, I'd say things are in good hands. And it's all the heroes that aren't those three.
And that leads into what we're doing next time.
Yeah. And,
52.
wait, there's one more scene.
A stinger.
So Superboy Prime is kept in a Green Lantern jail outside a Red Sun. And they have
No,
like...
inside a red sun, right?
Yeah, inside Red
Oh,
Sun.
yes,
He's
it's
in
inside
there.
a Red
Green
Sun.
Lantern
And they
jail.
have all these Green Lanterns watching him guard, and Superboy Prime carves an S into his chest, and he's like, I've been in worse
Blood.
places than this, and I've gotten out. And that ends Infinite
And
Crisis.
he's drooling because he's crazy.
So the twist is that he was the edgelord all along.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually liked how he went from being a naive kid and he fell down so far that he's just like a psychopath now.
Yeah.
But like, why you have to kill this guy. You have to.
Yeah.
You can't keep him here.
No,
Yeah.
Phil, the lesson we learned is you can't kill anyone.
He's
Even
so
if
fucking
Maxwell
strong.
Lord, Alex Luthor,
So-
slamming universes together. You're like, let this guy repent.
So the one thing I want to say, I want to publicly apologize to Sly. Because I like Superboy Prime quite a lot, but this was not my first Superboy Prime story, and I read other stories later, like before, where he was much more of a satire on comic fanboys, that he's just like complaining about continuity all the time. He's like, my characters in my universe are the only ones that matter. You guys are ruining comic books. And like, but like, he doesn't say comic books, but like, he becomes like this real like nerd rage satire on like comic book fans and how terrible they are, and I would always defend him, and Sly would be like, he sucks, and he's not that in this book very much.
No, not at all. He is just like pretty much for full describe like this kid, and that backstory is given to him because of fucking secret files.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Geoff Johns makes him go killer like in his first appearance, basically.
No, because in the first scene he starts saying like when he's fighting and he accidentally kills people, he's like, oh shit, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do this.
Yeah,
I know that's but like part of the problem is also this comic goes so fast paced that they
Yeah.
don't develop things well enough.
I
So,
mean,
like,
in the thread you mentioned there's a character here who's Sly, and I'm like, this is definitely Sly. But why don't you agree with my opinions? I'm sorry.
which is funny because Ryan was always like, he's such a good satire on comic book dumb, and then like, what's the satire here? That
'Cause, yeah, Geoff
comic book
Johns
nerds are the edgelords all along? Are you saying is it because me? Because
So,
I'm
yeah.
an edgelord and I like comic books.
Geoff Johns goes on to write him in, I think, 3 or 4 more stories, and I really, really, really like all those stories much more than I like Infinite Crisis. But I am sorry that I called you Superboy Sly for like 5 years.
Superboy Sly. 5 years, wow. It's longer than he was trapped in the Speed Force.
But I want to publicly apologize for that.
Thank you. But it's just funny how like there was such a miscommunication for so long that I said before we started this, like, I feel like Ryan was gaslighting me for like 5 years. Like, this character is so great, and I'm like, what's so good about this character?
So that is Infinite Crisis. And as I mentioned, we are going to talk about that year where there was no Superman, Batman, or Wonder Woman, starting in 2 weeks and then going weekly for 4 episodes of 52. So get very hyped for that, because it has been one of our most requested things.
Get
But I
hyped
was like,
because I'm not.
but I was like, it's way too long to ever do in our format, but we're going to try it. But
Die trying.
before we do that, even though you don't have a choice, what did you guys think of Infinite Crisis? Darryl, would you read more of this?
No. It's like a lot of it's what I dislike about comics, and the stuff that was interesting that Phil had brought up, that you guys had brought up. It's like, this stuff's interesting, but it's like, would I slog through all of this stuff to, especially think about what we were saying about like the last 2 issues where we were like, boy, it's a lot of fighting. These guys are fighting. This guy's fighting. Bane's breaking backs for whatever reason. And it's like, none of this was like interesting enough. And the fact that it ends with like, Alex Luthor wasn't a very compelling villain for me. And then at the end, it's like, Joker gets him. Like, you never
That
leave
was
out.
so shitty.
This popular, to me, that was like Harley Quinn, like killing the Flash type of a deal, where I'm like, sure, whatever, popular character kills this other character because they're so good.
That's
and
a fair
great.
point. But his theta beams or whatever.
Well, he lost his power somehow. I don't know how his power works, but I guess it makes sense that the Joker did beat him. But
Whatever.
Whatever. What about you, Phil?
I kind of liked it. I would not pay money to read this. I probably wouldn't pick it up on my own. But if I had to read more, I would.
Interesting. So yeah, my final thoughts is that I still really like, there's a lot of things that happen that are not explained in the book at all that I was like, oh, this is a really cool status quo, like the stuff with the Spectre and everything. Like, there's all this stuff that I recognize that in its place in the grand tapestry of the DC universe at the time, I really like the book. But as a standalone event, I really think maybe Blackest Night is the only good event there is at this point. But that's it. Definitely didn't hold up as well as I thought it would, and I think it is a comic book for big comic book fans,
Yes.
and that's it.
Yes.
Which a lot of times we've talked about how events are billed as not that. It's supposed to be like, everybody come jump on this book and like, let's look at how the universe is reshaped. But like, this is very much just for big
I think
DC fans.
that only works with the smaller scale stuff. Like, I
Yeah.
would say Identity Crisis is actually not a bad one to jump in on.
Yeah, I think that's like
I also,
this. Yeah.
You reminded me that the other thing I really hated is I hate when things get set up. It's not like a conclusion to a story. It's that you're setting up status quos type of deal.
And this book has a lot of that.
It has a lot. It's like Wally just like kissing his family real quick and then absorbing them into the Speed Force. It's like, whatever. It doesn't matter to the overall story, but it's like, oh, if you're a big Wally fan, this could be really interesting.
It's so funny that like all the stuff that used to annoy me, like now I find it's nostalgic for me. Because now, like, the Marvel does this all the time where they do stuff just to establish status quo, but a status quo for a book that never happens. Like, they had Nick Fury, like, if you know the Watcher from Marvel, they had Nick Fury become the Watcher for no reason. He never showed up in any book after that, pretty much. I'm like, why? But no, like, at least this stuff, a person wanted this stuff to happen so they can set up their book. At least a person followed up on this. At least a writer wanted this to happen. Marvel just has shit happen for no reason now. So, this is nostalgic for me, having, at least setting up a book that you can read later on.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's because for you there is actual like closure to it. You can actually read these arcs about like what's the Spectre up to now that you like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So my opinion, it's funny. Like when we do these issues, we have like we make our peace of these stories. You have to read them multiple times. Like we did with Civil War when we reread it for our first episode. But when I first read it, I only read up to issue 4. I thought this book was garbage. Fuck this series. Then I read it again under Ryan's recommendation. I liked it a lot more. And basically, the third time I made my peace with it, I could have realized why I didn't like it the first time and why I liked it more the second time. I think the first half of this book is complete trash. It is almost unreadable. Second half, it becomes an actual story. I wish from the start it focused more on Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, and focused more on them and got relegated most of the other stuff to tie-ins. And I wish, and it probably would have been benefit for being a bit.
Yeah, you just reminded me. That's a really good point. That I felt like reading so much of this where I'm like, well, if I gave a shit about any of this stuff, why wouldn't I read the tie-ins? But I guess like Johns wanted to establish that these are what these people are doing during this time. Or something.
But like even if you want that, like there's one scene of the Spectre where we all summon the Spectre, all the wizards summon the Spectre of Desperation. And that's when the Spectre kills a random person.
Yeah.
That should have been the only time Spectre shows up, because it gets the point across that something's going wrong with Spectre. Like one scene or two. But they keep going. They have pages and pages of like the fucking Uncle Sam's team. Like Uncle Sam should be. Uncle Sam should have died off panel in another tie-in. Like if you want this stuff to happen, it should have just been.
No, but you
like,
need the biting political satire of Uncle Sam drowning in oil.
But like that's how you do it. That's how you do this right. But this this book it could have been amazing. It's a crap book that becomes okay later on.
Okay, fair.
I don't even think it becomes okay.
But like I said, I think a lot of it is written for comic book fans. So there's more here for Sly than for you, for sure, Darryl.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yep.
Cool. So real quick, I'll keep this very quick. But while you're waiting for the 52 episodes, you can join our Patreon, patreon.com/flyingmachine. And I want to give a plug for another show on the network. I want to mention the Potsdam podcast real quick. Sly mentioned how I was gaslighting him for years about this book. And Jay
that's not what gaslighting is.
I know, but Jay just did an episode on evangelical gaslighting and how it fits into, like, how a lot of the anti-abortion laws and all this stuff kind of fits into this, like, gaslighting narrative that the radical right has kind of seeped into American politics over the last, like, 40 years. And there's no multiverse in it. There's no 1,000 characters, but it's a really, really good episode if you want something maybe a little more important than Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman fighting some guy in a big yellow suit. So yeah, I'd recommend that. That and all the other shows on the network can be found at flyingmachine.network. So thank you all for listening to Divisive Issues. I've been Earth 1 Superman.
I've been Earth 2 Superman.
I've been Earth Prime Superman.
And I've been our Superman. New Superman. The Superman. DCU Superman.
Old Superman?
That's Earth 2 Superman.
Now, is that DCU or DCYOU, which is a different thing?
Are you Superboy or Superman?
Who is Christopher Reeves? What Superman?
Kal-El or Kal-El?
Well, whichever Superman you are, Darryl, I pray that you'll stay in continuity.